Hello everyone, I'm Shruti Sharma, Program Manager of Pan India. Pan Physician Association for Nutrition is a global NGO on a mission to eliminate diet-related deaths globally by making nutrition a core part of healthcare and by engaging health professionals in efforts towards healthy and sustainable food environments. We are advancing the food transformation needed to mitigate the three largest global health crises. One, chronic diseases, second, climate change, and third is pandemic risk. Pan India is the Indian branch of Pan International, aims to be the catalyst revolutionizing healthcare to a whole person care. With a model with evidence-based nutrition at the core matrix, the mission is to educate, empower, engage. And this is an approach to create a highly skilled community like you guys. Thank you for joining us today. We have 3,500 healthcare professionals with majority of doctors like you and to support our mission. Let's worship. Before we start this great mission, I would like to invite our medical director, Dr. Rajeena, along with Dr. Raju, Dr. Pooja, Dr. Bindu, Dr. Narasimhaiah, Dr. Ravi, Dr. Prem, Dr. VC Manoj, and Dr. Srijit, Dr. Babita and Dr. Veena to join us. And please, let's start with the worship. Since all our ambassadors are on stage, so let's have a group photograph together. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Okay, so you must be thinking, who are these ambassadors? These ambassadors are the state ambassadors who are taking this mission ahead in these states. So we have 50 ambassadors with us, and some of them were here. Can I expect a clap for all of our ambassadors? And let's start the CME with the full zest and vigor. So let me introduce our ambassador, Dr. Raju. Dr. Raju is a medical professional with a diverse background in medicine and management, graduating from GMC Calicut, and he later earned a postgraduate degree from TIS Mumbai, very renowned institute. His corporate journey began in Fortune 500 pharmaceutical companies, not pharmaceutical, pharma companies, sorry. He is a big player as a medical lead for digital health and managing clinical DSS, which is Decision Support System, across 15 countries. Currently, Dr. Raju leads a KGDC project for Kerala Development and Innovation Strategic Counseling. He is also part of SARTH, a platform for holistic cancer care. So let's welcome Dr. Raju. He will provide the information about the PAN agenda and the roadmap of this CME. Thank you, Dr. Raju, for joining us.
Good morning, everyone, dear esteemed clinicians and distinguished guests. Welcome to this pivotal event organized by Pan India on the vital topic of evidence-based nutrition for clinicians. We are gathered here not just as medical professionals, but as pioneers on the frontier of healthcare transformation. The integration of nutrition into clinical practice represents a profound shift towards a more holistic approach to health and wellness, one that is grounded in rigorous scientific research and evidence. The global health landscape is increasingly burdened by chronic conditions like diabetes, hypertension, dyslipidemia, and many are directly influenced by diet and lifestyle. Conditions are also increasing in cancer care, and it's also escalating at an alarming rate. The World Health Organization underscores nutrition as a key factor in managing and preventing these diseases, yet it remains underemphasized in clinical settings. Lifestyle medicine focuses on the use of evidence-based lifestyle therapeutic approaches such as nutritional intervention, physical activity, adequate sleep, stress management, and avoidance of risky substances, and positive social connections to prevent, treat, and often reverse chronic conditions. Diet is a central component of this approach with a significant emphasis on consuming nutrient-dense, minimally processed foods. This method supports the body's natural healing processes, aiming for holistic well-being and chronic disease management or reversal, demonstrating the profound impact of dietary choices on health outcomes. This gap in our healthcare system underscores a critical need to arm healthcare professionals with the knowledge and tools necessary to harness the power of nutrition in disease prevention and management. And integrating nutrition into clinical practice is always fraught with challenges, from the limited nutrition education in medical curricula to the practical difficulties of counseling patients on the dietary changes within the constraints of brief consultations. Clinicians face substantial hurdles, yet within these challenges lie immense opportunities. Evidence-based nutrition is the conscientious, explicit, and judicious use of current best evidence in making decisions about the care of individual patients. It means not just understanding the nutrients and their effects on health, but critically evaluating the latest research to make informed dietary recommendations. This approach has the potential to revolutionize healthcare, making it more effective, more personalized, and ultimately more preventive than curative. We have also seen the role of genomics in personalized nutrition. I'm currently working a lot with genomics and digital therapeutic companies, and genomics enables the personalization of nutrition plans based on individual genetic profiles, identifying predispositions to certain health conditions or nutrient metabolism rates. This personalized approach can lead to more effective dietary strategies for disease prevention and treatment. With more wearables and biometric monitors, right? We all are wearing biometric devices, and this technology provides continuous healthcare data monitoring, allowing for real-time adjustments in nutritional plans. By tracking metrics like blood glucose, heart rate, physical activity, individuals can see the direct impact of dietary choices on their health, leading to more informed decision. So again, this is part of the personalized nutrition plan. We are also seeing AI and machine learning, which is also analyzing vast amounts of data from genetic tests, wearable devices, and lifestyle factors to generate personalized nutrition advice. These technologies can uncover unique health insights, making dietary recommendations more precise and tailored to individual needs. And coming to digital therapeutics, it presents a groundbreaking approach in diet management, utilizing technology to cater and tailor dietary advice and interventions based on individual health data. This innovative field combines the precision of digital technology with personalized nutrition and will also offer customized diet plans, monitor dietary intake, and provide real-time feedback to users. By leveraging apps and software, digital therapeutics can help individuals achieve specific health outcomes such as weight loss, improved glucose control, or enhanced overall well-being through scientifically backed dietary strategies. And beyond individual health improvement, digital therapeutics in diet management also hold potential for broader public health applications. By collecting and analyzing data on a large scale, these tools can contribute to our understanding of nutrition's role in health and disease, potentially informing public health policies and strategies. They offer a scalable solution to dietary education and intervention, reaching people who may not have access to traditional healthcare services or nutritional counseling. The integration of personalized nutrition into healthcare involves collaborating between technology providers and medical professionals. This synergy enhances the ability to offer bespoke nutrition advice, improve patient outcomes by addressing individual health concerns through diet. And also talking about gut microbiome, again, it's a hot topic across the globe. The gut microbiome also plays a pivotal role in nutrition health, hosting a complex community of microorganisms that influence digestion, immunity, and metabolic functions. Dietary choices significantly impact the diversity and activity of these gut bacteria, with a diet rich in fiber from fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, promoting a beneficial microbiome composition. This in turn can enhance nutrient absorption, reduce inflammation, and protect against certain diseases. Emerging research underscores that gut-brain axis, revealing how the microbiome can affect not just physical health and also mental health. Certain dietary patterns that favor a healthy gut microbiome have been linked to lower risks of mood disorders, demonstrating the profound interconnection between diet, gut health, and mental health. Coming to fad diets, we see a lot of fad diets which promise quick weight loss or health improvements, but may not be supported by scientific evidence and can lead to nutritional imbalances or health issues. Intermittent fasting, which alternates between periods of eating and fasting, has been researched for its potential benefits in weight management, metabolic health, and longevity. However, its effectiveness and safety can vary among individuals, highlighting the importance of personalized guidance. Dietary supplements can complement the diet but should be used judiciously, as excessive or inappropriate use can lead to adverse events. It's essential for individuals to seek evidence-based advice and consider their unique health conditions and nutritional needs when exploring these dietary strategies. The rise of nutritional celebrities on social media, who often promote diets and health trends without a strong foundation in scientific evidence, poses a greater risk to public health. While these influencers can inspire people to take interest in their health, their advice sometimes lacks scientific rigor and can lead to harmful consequences. It's crucial for individuals to critically evaluate the sources of nutritional information and prioritize guidance from professionals. Pan India stands at the forefront of this movement, offering clinicians resources, training, and support to integrate nutrition in their practice. Through initiatives like this, the healthcare professionals can access online courses and materials that are not only evidence-based, but also practical and actionable. As we proceed with today's event, I urge you to engage deeply with the presentations, workshops, and discussions. We have really great speakers who have come to us today. Let's collaborate, share experiences, and learn from each other. The path to integrating nutrition into healthcare is complex, but together we can forge a new paradigm for preventive healthcare that places nutrition at the heart of clinical practice. Thank you so much for being with us on this Sunday, and I invite you to the scientific gathering. Next, I want to call upon Dr. Rajeena Shahin, who is currently the Medical Director for Pan India. She has more than 2 decades of healthcare experiences with more than 15 years in nutrition intervention. She's a pioneer in the field of therapeutic lifestyle intervention in India, founded 2 companies, one in healthcare tech and other in education, pioneered the use of technology in therapeutic lifestyle interventions with the health tech Invest on Health. She is the Director of Alliance, Advocacy and Membership at ISLM from 2020 to 2022, strongly believes in liberating healthcare from fads, tips, tricks, and other vested interests, with an intense focus on evidence-based therapeutic approaches to nutrition lifestyle. She championed the cause at various forums, including ISLM, PCRM, corporates, and at the community level. With the role in Pan India, she is on a mission to educate and empower doctors on EBN intervention as the primary line of management. Her colleagues see her as a catalyst and ardent advocate of the movement to transform global healthcare system. I welcome Dr. Shahin too.
I feel happy that, there's a good crowd. In fact, last 2 days back, I was expecting that, maybe we may get around 30 people, 30 doctors, and also the quality of the crowd. Most of you guys are from healthcare professionals, Okay. So, I think all of you came here to learn about it, right? I mean, it's nice actually. I looking at the demography of Kerala, കുറച്ച് മലയാളത്തിൽ പറഞ്ഞാൽ നമ്മൾ ഫുഡ് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടുള്ള കാര്യമുള്ളൂ ബാക്കിയില്ല അല്ലേ അപ്പം അങ്ങനെ when I thought about it, I thought we may not have enough people actually. It's really great to see that half of the room is already full. And this is our 12th or 12th CME. Pan India has been doing this from 2023 beginning, and we have done AIMS Jodhpur, Nagpur, AIMS Bilaspur, and then we started getting into practicing doctors. Hyderabad, Jaipur, Mumbai, and Hyderabad also was a great event. Mumbai, we had around 260 attendees, 200 plus medical doctors from various specialities. So what we need to understand is there is something happening in the field where medical professionals from across the globe, including India, are recognizing it. Because you all know that actually even there are nutritionists in the room. So there is something called lifestyle medicine becoming a big movement across the globe, in India too. So there is something which is happening. We need to grab that opportunity and we need to lead this movement. That's why PAN is here. Okay, let me take you through my presentation. This will work with this. Right? Right, Tele? Okay. So I think, I think you guys have already listened to Dr. Raju Rhee's talk about evidence-based nutrition. Evidence-based nutrition is, the core of the discussion today. Nutrition is practiced currently. The information in India is passed to the public by not even nutritionists. It's publicly passed on by influencers on social media from somebody who's sitting in a wellness clinic with a engineering degree or something, to somebody who's just a cook, who doesn't know much about science. I'm not saying that their role is not important. Their role is equally important when it comes to recipes and other stuff. The science part of it, managing conditions, the doctor should be doing it. World over, doctors are learning nutrition. I think last year we had around 3,000 plus doctors who appeared for the lifestyle medicine conference, and I think 1,700 plus healthcare professionals wrote the exam as lifestyle physicians. So this also, I think Dr. Raju and Shruti has discussed. So what is PAN India? PAN India is Physicians Association for Nutrition. It's a doctors association for nutrition. But nutrition is also equally important. I'll come to it, how we collaborate and work. So we want doctors come to the forefront of this nutrition movement, be part of it, disseminate the information to the public, start practicing nutrition as a primary line of management of any disease. A patient comes to you, how many of you in this room recommend dietary guideline or just tell them how to eat healthy? Wow, this is not bad. Actually, I was not expecting this number. Excellent. So that means actually this Kochi definitely has a good awareness. So, but I think large percentage of people yet not there. So we need to start learning how to do that. So PAN's mission is bringing all of you to the forefront of this movement as practitioners, practicing nutrition, advocating nutrition. And also, you need to understand that when we are asking people to change their food habits, what is the major challenge patient faces? The practitioners, please tell me, what is the major challenge they're facing? Lack of availability, no good food, right? Cost effectiveness, multiple of these things. Then Kerala, I always come across something, oh yeah, vegetables ellam pesticides aanu. Adengane kazhikkum doctor. Adanu parayunne. Okay. And another thing is actually, like, my father was hospitalized 2 weeks back in Medi City, one of the good hospitals in southern Kerala. And I just couldn't believe that there is some major poster of FSSA written there on the canteen, but outside the canteen they are selling. Can you imagine what are they selling? Yes? Yes? Huh? Yes, fried items. Samosa, banana fry, and everything is there actually, but there is no juice or healthier stuff is not available. So that is something which we need to address. We are going to address. See, what we need to understand as physicians, we just focused on a pharmaceutical agent. We just give them, we are happy. Patient will follow that. Here, as a doctor who are part of this movement, you cannot sit just giving prescription. You need to be part of the movement. You need to be mentors. You need to be leaders. You need to be really being part of the movement to really bring this up, because this is a new field. If you don't take up, some other people will take up and we will be working for them. Please do not do that. Everyone has to actively come forward and be part of this movement. And PAN, as you must have seen that we have like ambassadors associating with us, volunteers associating with us. We have full-time faculty working with us. We have part-time faculty working with us. We have like multiple consultants working with us. With medical doctors, we do that. We do have a wing which is doing policy advisory. I also went to Delhi a few weeks back. Even the FSSAI is very keen on actually collaborating with us to make this a reality in India. So there are things happening. I don't have that slide. There are 40 plus billion last year has gone into nutrition research. Any of you were part of their nutrition research last year in 23? Any of the funded research? Where is the money going? We are at the forefront of the healthcare system. We are not receiving it. So we need to act, right? So why nutrition to be part of the core of the healthcare system? Anybody can give me a convincing answer why nutrition should be part of the core of the healthcare system. Core means, you know that, the doctors, the nurses, where a patient comes, meet the doctor. So why it has to be core of the healthcare system, not an allied healthcare system? Why? Anybody can give a convincing answer? Just try. Okay? Yes? I couldn't hear that. Yes. One of the root cause of the disease. Excellent. Any other answer? Excellent. Another one. Yes? Oh, yeah, excellent. Hi. Sorry. Yes. He's my junior classmate, very close friend. Okay. Dr. Shinoy, I think you all will be knowing. So why this is very important and it has to be core of the healthcare system, I'm going to talk about this in 3 slides actually, because when you look at the healthcare challenges of our century, it's not just about any communicable diseases anymore. We have NCDs. How much percentage of the people die? The mortality in India, how much percentage is out of NCDs? Or globally, how much percentage of NCDs? How much percentage of mortality is caused by NCDs? Yeah, 72%. India it is 66, and it's going high. And still, our focus is on pharmaceutical agents. NCDs, what is the major cause of these things? Lifestyle. We are not doing anything about it, right? And then climate crisis, which is a major challenge which has come up. The WHO head already made a statement that, climate crisis is the health crisis. It's a major crisis of health in our century. So we need to act on it. So our eating habits is indirectly leading to climate crisis. And definitely zoonosis, pandemic risk, antibiotic resistance, food insecurity, undernutrition, everything has a large element of nutrition to play. But as healthcare professionals at the top of the healthcare system, we are not doing anything about it. So we need to act, right? This is what all of you said, root cause of the, yes. Perfect. That is one of our agenda. I think you must have seen the slide. Integrating nutrition as a course is a major thing which we are doing. Okay. Yes, exactly. We are already in talk. Excellent. I mean, that's true, Doc, actually. So what we are doing, actually, we are in talk with NMC to do that, but it will take time. All these government bodies takes its own time. So root causes, what all of you said, that is a major thing. We need to address that. And, why this is all of a sudden important. All of a sudden, it became important because one is definitely NCD, larger. Every year there is a large increase in NCDs. NCDs management is not just pharmaceutical agents. We need to be working at the root cause of the illness. But at the same time, the eating habit is leading to climate crisis. It is like going at an alarming rate where some of the cities and towns can go underwater. So we need to work on that actually. Okay. And this is another one. Suboptimal diet is responsible for any other health risk. More than any other health risk, this is one of the reasons. And looking at the pictures, how many of you are drinking cola once a few days a week? Okay, somebody who knows that root cause of every illness is food, you're still drinking it. So this is what actually the food system is. Actually, this is majorly from 8 Lancet Commission, which they have done, 191 countries. They have analyzed the eating pattern and analyzed the risk factors and came up with conclusions which says that overconsumption of certain food and underconsumption of certain other food is a major cause of all diseases, major cause of dietary causes of all diseases. Basically, sodium, trans fat, saturated fat, which is majorly coming from red meat and dairy and stuff, sugar, sweet, and beverages, which is very common, and underconsumption of whole grains, legumes, vegetables, fruits, nuts, seeds, fiber-rich food and stuff. So this is the major thing what they have come up with. What is it called? The youngsters, Eat Lancet Commission. Please go home and check it. What is Eat Lancet Commission? As medical students, you should know this. And this is again a 2015 study. That's a US context. Okay, so it may not be completely applicable to us, but Eat Lancet Commission has done a dietary comparison for the Indian diet. They have come up with a reference diet for human population to remain healthy at the same time to counteract the dietary climate changes. But they also have done an analysis, what is a major problem in India. I think Dr. Abraham will be able to give me a major issue, which is a grain-rich diet we were just discussing. Very high on grains, which is rice, roti, and maida and stuff, which is high on carbohydrate. So 80-90% of the nutrients in grains is carbohydrate. So Indian context, unlike the Western context, our meat or dairy consumption may not be as much, but we are high on refined grains, and we are also low on proteins. How many, do you know that how many percentage of India is protein deficient? A lot of surveys have done. There was a wonderful study which is done by, I forgot the organization, which says that 80% of India is protein deficient. Okay, we're protein deficient, but what we do, you know that the youngsters, especially like with the hype of gym and muscle and stuff, they know that they're protein deficient because their gym trainer told. What do? They come and then they start eating large quantities of animal products, dairy and which is high in saturated fat, red meat. I have a patient who was eating 250 grams of chicken every day and 200 grams of paneer every day. 200 grams of paneer, because he's a vegetarian, is also giving him around 32 or 34 grams of saturated fat, which is clogging his arteries. No, nobody knows it, and you go to the doctor will say that, yeah, you need proteins, you eat it. But what protein they need to eat? Protein, the package matters. You need to be eating proteins, which will give also other nutrients like phytonutrients, fiber, and maybe other antioxidants, and less in saturated fat and trans fat. That nobody says, because you go to the doctor, he has very less time to discuss these things. And most of the doctors, we do not have the knowledge about it, right? And Kerala paradox, I'm not going to discuss this I'm going to put in the group for WhatsApp group for further discussion, because it's a major topic to be discussed. It was supposed to be taken up by Dr. G. Rajendran from Coimbatore. He is unfortunately not available today. So this we will put for discussion. And then let's know what comes out as clinicians from your experiences. And so what we understand as, so the root cause is the first line of management. Anybody believes this is true? How many of you believe that? The root cause, addressing the root cause should be the primary line of management of chronic lifestyle diseases. Wow. Okay, not bad. So then what is the challenge you guys are facing? No time. Okay, great. So anybody else? Dr. George? People don't accept. Yes. Excellent. That is why we need food system change. We need to change the food system so that we can easily do this. So the primary line of management should be nutrition or lifestyle intervention. And it doesn't work, you have to go for optimal drug therapy. So what you guys also need to go through something called Dean Ornish program, where he has a team of nutritionists and physical fitness expert and physicians and lifestyle physicians working together with a patient on a cardiac rehabilitation to bring him back to life, or even long-term remissions of most of the NCDs actually. So we don't have to learn everything about nutrition, but we need to have basic knowledge so that the nutritionist will help us to manage the whole thing. It's not like you just a patient comes to you with a diabetic this thing and immediately give him on a medication. That shouldn't be the case anymore. And I always feel that this is what we are doing. As physicians, or doctors, we know that, there is a leak tap. There's a problem with his lifestyle, which is causing the problem. But we are too busy mopping the floor by giving pharmaceutical agents. We need to change this. And we already discussed this part, because the dissemination of information is given by influencers and others who doesn't have any idea about nutrition. And there are so many other things mixed up, and all the science will get diluted. So we need to take this up. And we have done a study. This actually again reinforce the fact that doctors should be doing this. Why? Because we have done, that was in 2022, and we have surveyed around 1,000 doctors, and we came to know that doctors are aware that this has to be addressed, and patients are aware, but there is a resistance. Resistance reasons, anybody? Not looking at the slides? One is lack of knowledge. We are inadequately prepared in nutrition. Second, as you said, time. And third, we are quite used to a flow, which is like coming to the thing, giving and also it's not very easy to do nutrition or lifestyle intervention, because there you need to be a mentor, there you need to be a supporter, there you need to be an influencer, to make that happen. But we will slowly get there. We have a larger role to play, guys, actually, not like sitting there and doing some kind of a pharmaceutical intervention. Just like Dr. Shinoy, he's doing so many other things to create awareness about SLE and rheumatoid arthritis and multiple things. We can really move the people with us. Please do not constrain yourself to sitting in a clinic and doing some pharmaceutical intervention. So that says that doctors at the apex of the healthcare system has a larger role to play, and once they do it, the compliance will be much higher. Even you can have nutritionists and physical fitness experts with you, so that it becomes a multidisciplinary team. It's evidence-based. We are promoting a predominantly plant-based eating pattern. The reason being 60, 70, 80 years of research says, larger part of which comes from West. A major part of it is like trans fat and saturated fat rich food. Saturated fat rich food majorly coming from animal products. Plant-based products don't have anything. So we say that a healthy diet is something which is low in sugar, salt, saturated fat, trans fat, high in phytonutrients, fiber, antioxidants is very good. So that same food, which is good for human health, is also good for planetary health. So one of the major reasons why these planet is getting heated, one of the things, 33% is from food system. Out of it, 18 to 20% is from animal husbandry. So we also need to play some role in making people understand that, start reducing your meat consumption. And eat more of fiber-rich food. So evidence, there are lots and lots of evidence coming up every year. From Framingham studies to 7 countries studies to the latest RCTs, if you look, there is a pattern which evolves which is a food which is high in fiber, phytonutrients, less in processed food, highly processed food, and animal food is very good for human health. This is the slide which says that actually. Low in sugar, salt, trans fat, saturated fat, high in phytonutrients and fiber. And then you must be thinking, but we are not aware of it. Why these regulatory bodies are not talking about it? All regulatory bodies are talking about it. Look at Lead Lancet to the Canadian food plates to the ICMR plate. Everybody is saying that fill half of your plate with vegetables and fruits. How many of you fill half of your plate with vegetables and fruits? I am partly a reason. Just great, very less numbers actually. So here onwards, at least from today when we start the dinners, first go to the vegetable counter, fill the plate with the vegetables and fruits, and then fill a protein portion, then a grain portion. This will be more balanced, which will give you all the nutrients in adequate proportions. And start guiding your people to at least this basic concept, but we will have more and more discussions in the group slowly. Yeah, I think I don't want to go into the details of any of these things because other speakers has to take up, but we will have more ongoing engagement and learning in the group. Please add more people so that we can have every week one discussion. We can have a webinar once a month on a pressing topic like protein insufficiency, so that we learn about it rather than it's just an intro session, basics you learn. The first understanding is we need to take this up. Any of you believe otherwise, like, oh, it's not our job, the nutritionist has to take up? Please, actually, it's open forum. You not be like hesitant to open up and say. How many of you feel that we should take it up? Wow. Thank you. Very good. Okay, so I'll stop it here. And so we will have this movement running through our group. I think Dr. Raju and Dr. Ravi has come forward to lead this, but we also need a lot of you coming as ambassadors and volunteers to lead this movement. Dr. Manoj and Pooja is already leading the movement, and we will collaborate and collaboratively do this. We need more ambassadors and volunteers and advisories panel to come forward and help us with this. And please do not leave the group. Please keep adding more people to the group. Thank you so much.
Presentation by Dr. Ravi Sankaran. He's a professor and head Department of Physical Medicine Rehabilitation at Amrita Institute of Medical Sciences, Kochi. His areas of interest include spasticity, disorders of consciousness, peripheral nerve injury rehabilitation, cardiac rehabilitation, pelvic floor rehabilitation, and artificial intelligence. So I call upon Dr. Ravi to deliver his lecture. Thanks.
How do I move the slide forward? Yeah, nutrition is the healthcare scene. You've already heard about me, so I'm going to add a little bit. My background is internal medicine, then I did PMR at Michigan State University. I've been Amrita since 2010. Certified for hyperbaric medicine, spasticity surgery, brain stimulation, neurotherapy. And I say all this because it's going to start flavoring the way I talk to you. I'm from Michigan, Flint, the Motor City. We have Kellogg's processed foods from Michigan, the world's largest woman in the world, 727 kgs, and lots of dirty water. But all that's going to factor into the talk today. I like food. That's why I'm here. Mom likes food. The cat does too. I wanted to go to Kailas with my dad in 2019. He said, Ravi, you're too fat. So I cut my carbs, and I dropped 15 kgs, and I could go. That is Mount Kailas in the back. When Amma, my guru, goes on tour, we go with her, and my friends, they're all IT guys. We run a healthy food stand where we make raw food, sprouted vegetables, and stuff like that. The people in America, they've grown up on processed food. They know how bad it is for you, so they like this healthy stuff. That's really all I have with food. I don't know that much about it, though, otherwise. A lot of healthcare, though, is highlights. It's a lot of social media, a lot of the scene. Who gets the attention is the most popular person, and they get the most patients. What people forget is, to have a highlight, to have a big scene, you need to have a studio, electricity, running water, a cameraman, people behind the scenes that make it happen. And nutrition is the healthcare scene. If you don't have good health, you don't have good healthcare. What I see over and over again is the pharmaceuticals in the lobby, right? Our students are trained to get big fancy tests, give big special drugs, and if the patient doesn't get better, they don't know what to do. But the thing is, in America, what I've seen now is non-allopathic prescribers are giving drugs, mid-level practitioners freely prescribe without knowing what they're doing, and all this perpetrates a cycle of people getting rich off suffering people. Young doctors don't know that they can take care of people by modifying diet. It's really sad. Prevention's better than the cure. Subspecialization in healthcare is a sign that we're failing because we're not doing primary care well enough. And eventually what happens is people go to specialists enough, specialists like me, and get dumped into a category. Fibromyalgia, something or other. Here's a pill for it. If it doesn't get better, what do? No one knows. Go to a therapist. Right? It's not a solution. It's not right. Here's a cartoon to say it. So this guy's got an arrow in his head, and the doctor says, yeah, it's obvious you got an arrow through your head, but to play it safe, we'll get a bunch of tests done anyway. The solution is back to basics. These are the problems caused by wrong consumption. Sorry, the spacing is off. Coronary disease, obesity, diabetes, pain, depression. We know this. Nothing new. But then, let's look at some specific things. A lot of what I do is ultra niche, because when everything fails, then physiatry comes in, right? So stroke. 75% of the time, your stroke specialists say, it's cryptogenic. We don't know why he had a stroke, but he's had a stroke. Prophylaxis begins after the stroke. What kind of prophylaxis is that? For the second stroke, right? And there isn't a focus on preventing diabetes or hypertension outside of pills, and people don't realize diabetes can be reversed. But when you say those things, people don't value that. It means nothing to them, right? So we need meta-analyses. And here's a meta-analysis that shows 34 dietary factors associated with stroke susceptibility with high to moderate strength evidence, including red meat and processed red meat, fruits, and vegetables. They have preservatives in them. Preservatives are anti-life. They hurt us. Common sense, right? But now there's a p-value for you. Cerebral palsy is another thing, damaging an immature brain, right? And cerebral palsy begins before the child is born because a lot of it is maternal nutrition, right? Maternal nutrition in India sometimes is going to be what the husband leaves behind. He's had his fill, the wife doesn't want to waste the food, so she eats it, right? Many times in other parts of the country, female children are not really valued until they're pregnant, and then they should be bedbound and barefoot and make a male child. And it's outdated policies, right? They're not really good. But when you tell people about maternal nutrition, take care of your daughters too, it doesn't mean much to people, right? So we need p-values. And here we go. Consumption of cereals and fish are inversely associated with CP versus meat has an increased risk. So there's a p-value. Patient, on the other hand, is a whole different thing. So if they have cerebral palsy and they're tetraplegic, meaning they can't move their all four limbs and walk on their own, the parents will keep them underweight. And not to be cruel, but just because the parent has to take them out of bed, put them on a bed, put them on the toilet, get them to the dinner table in a wheelchair. Parents are getting older. It's hard for them, right? The problem is there's a trade-off. And the trade-off is the expense of micronutrients. So we find kids who have looser zones and microfractures just because of that. And that causes pain, quality of life, all those get messed up, right? When you say that, though, again, people want a p-value. So there it is. Sorry, my slides are overlapping. But there's positive results that supplement-based nutrition will make these kids better. And the problem with this meta-analysis is there's a 60% risk of bias and 40% concern for the rest of the studies. These are all studies that show a product made by a pharmacy company will make that CP child better. They make money off it. It's their study. It's common sense, right? But it's not really the right thing to do. Another thing I deal with is disorders of consciousness. So typically what you get is a man in his 40s to 50s, and he has an anterior wall MI. Why? Because the left anterior descending is blocked, and now the left ventricle can't pump. And it doesn't pump, so the brain doesn't get any blood, and there's global hypoxia in the brain, and now they're unconscious and spastic, and no one knows what to do with them. Prevention is better than a cure. And the buildup is always these inflammatory diets, right? Very popular, very common, but not very good, right? The aftermath is where I come in. So now you have a guy who has a brain injury, can't control his body, can't do anything for himself, and he wants to wake up. The problem is the brain runs on glucose. So you catabolize your proteins, 3 amino acids becomes 2 glucose, you catabolize your fat, and you get a skeleton who still can't move or do anything because the brain is trying to heal. And it gets worse when people like me get involved. I run a hyperbaric oxygen service, right? This is a young man who's had a brain injury. He came to me 2 months after neurosurgery works on him. And you can see he's unconscious, he's spastic, he has exposure keratitis, and he's sweating like anything, right? So I get my interventions going, and there he is. After a week, he's conscious. And he says, "Mom, am I in a lunatic asylum? Why does that doctor talk so weird?" Right? But you can see he's awake now, and he knows what's going on, but if you look at this picture versus that, he's lost so much weight, catabolizing his body to drive the brain. He gained it back. He's walking, talking, doing all this stuff. But nutrition is important for the brain. The ones who survive with brain injuries have spasticity, velocity-dependent restriction to range of movement in their body, right? And what drives that spasticity? Trigger points, muscle scars that irritate them, bowel issues, bladder issues, sleep, stress, noxious stimuli, all these things factor in. The problem is, if they're spastic, they won't have good bowel and bladder function. That'll drive their spasticity. That gives them trigger points inside the muscles. That drives the spasticity. It becomes a vicious cycle. So preventing all these things is better than having to rehabilitate it. Cardiac rehab is something else I do. And the thing that I find over and over again is a lot of doctors don't know activity guidelines, or when you tell them, they don't have time for it. I start my day at 6:30, I finish when OPD ends. Where's the time for exercise? Before I get into the office, that's when I do it. Right, but what are those guidelines? There you go. Optimally, 300 minutes of moderate intensity aerobics, 150 minutes of vigorous aerobics, and the minimum Is 150 minutes of moderate intensity activity or 75 minutes of vigorous intensive aerobic activity? These are things we have to do. And then we can tell people to do them ourselves. But the cardiac angle is really important for whatever you put in, you have to eventually burn off. And because people eat so much rice and they're not doing high cardiac activity, it sits in their body, right? So when people tell me I don't have time for this, my answer is VILPAs, vigorous intermittent lifestyle physical activity. It's an emerging concept that we have where a person can do energy or exercise snacks, 3 to 5 minutes of a vigorous activity that's in their regular lifestyle with something. It's going to improve them better than doing nothing. And in many cases, especially in women, we find this equal to regular cardiac exercises. So it's a good thing. Because of all the obesity that we see here, again, pelvic floor rehabilitation is something I deal with. And there's 2 typical cases. One is this guy who came to me like a year ago and he's depressed. And why? Because he can't have an erection for more than 5 minutes. When he was younger, he could go for 20 minutes. Now, he can't hold it for more than 5 minutes. He doesn't feel like a man anymore and he's depressed. The family's happy. His 5 kids are okay. The business is going okay. The wife is okay. She's not bothered by that, but he doesn't feel like a man because he can't keep it up, right? The other side is a woman whose marriage is completely in disorder. Why? Because she has pain during penetration. So now the husband is frustrated. But they all have something in common. These guys come with dyspareunia, painful sex, erectile dysfunction, stress incontinence, constipation, prolapse, UTI, whatever it is, sedentary lifestyle, poor food choices, stress, and then social norms. If it doesn't make sense, this MRI will show it to you. You can see, there's no pointer here. You can see that chunk of fat sitting on the abdomen. It's pushing the bladder down. It's forcing the pelvic floor to spasm and push up against the bladder. And if you start doing penetration on a pelvic floor like that, it's going to hurt like heck. And it's not going to go away until the fat goes away, right? You can see how much that fat is deforming all these joints. The problem is, especially being in Kerala now for 14 years, people are getting bigger and bigger and it's a social norm. So why would you want to look different from everybody else? Or you got a record of being a reputation for being a home wrecker. Why is she trying to look so good? What's her agenda? Right? And we do have people who have these problems. They want to take care of themselves. They do look good and feel good about themselves, but people get the wrong idea because everybody else is bloated up. And all this leads to chronic pain, which is what I do every day. Right? And we have people who are overweight, they're depressed, they have a flat affect, they can't smile anymore, they're easily irritable. And then come the pharma companies. Newsflash. Gabapentin, nortriptyline is the cool new drug, and pregabalin is out. And why? Because it's going to make you commit suicide, right? And why? Because pregabalin became generic a few years ago. So now they need a new drug to make money off, right? And gabapentin will be the greatest thing until something else comes. So who's next? In the pipeline, we have this, transient receptor potential V1. And basically, this is the gate for voltage-gated sodium channels, which all basically feed pain into the brain. So if you can block the gatehouse, then you shouldn't have pain, right? The thing is, TRPV1 is sensitized by low pH or pro-inflammatory foods. So you can block the gate or you can stop stimulating it. The choice is ours. We're the doctors, right? The thing is, people don't understand what trigger points are. There are people who come with hemifacial pain, migraine, this thing, that thing. They don't realize the trigger point in the upper trapezius can shoot up into the head and make a hemifacial pain. Most doctors don't know the musculoskeletal system. They don't even know this. And this is why people suffer. 50% of doctor visits are for pain. So it comes back to common sense. Eat your fruits. Don't drink it. You don't need that bucket of rice. It's okay. You can survive. The last thing I do is hand transplant rehabilitation. We are the largest group in the world now with 17 successful transplants. But it even comes into here, where you have people, they still need 5 servings of fruits and vegetables every day. They need whole grain bread, cereals, other products, low-fat milk, so they get enough calcium, low-salt, low-fat diet. I've not seen grapefruit stuff around here. In America, it's really big. And then follow all the food safety guidelines. Even for this population, you still have to follow the basics. I love AI. It has a lot of problems with it, but I'm really fascinated by it. What you see on the right is a script that you can type and put into ChatGPT, and you can make it behave like a dietitian. It's never as good as a dietitian. Dietitians are very good at the psychology aspect. Why does a person not eat properly? But if you need a meal plan that you have available in the kitchen, you can do something with this. And all you need is a smartphone and net connection. What we need is healthy meal plans for the ideal average household. Right? Something that any housewife can make, because if the housewife controls the food, the husband's going to get into shape. If he feels better, the family feels better, everyone's okay. There's economics involved here. And it's not just global economics, not GDP, it's household economics. There's direct costs. People complain, I don't have time to make food. I don't have time to clean up afterwards, I'm too tired. There's a cost to buying all this fresh food, and it can only sit in the fridge for so long, right? The indirect costs are health. So we can either work with these costs, or we can treat lifestyle diseases pharmacologically. It's never about the science, it's always about how we apply it to patients. And that's where things get challenging, right? You have patients, you offer them good food, they eat it. It doesn't taste that great to them. If these guys persist, they'll get the benefits, and that's really all we want. And eventually they'll come to like it. There's another kind, they'll put the food in their mouth, but they hate it. And it's nothing wrong, because we have cultured ourselves to eat all this high-fat, high-salt, high-sugar diet. So when you give something that's bitter or a bit sour, it doesn't make sense sometimes, right? There's people, you tell them, you gotta lose weight, eat healthy. They eat more unhealthy food, and they stuff themselves with it. Why? Because they're supposed to eat healthy, so they might as well have fun before they do. Of course, they never start, right? And the last, you can tell them what's right and wrong. They're not going to listen to you, right? It's not to make fun of patients, because many people have these problems. There's a reason why they don't eat healthy, and sometimes it's psychosocial stress, right? So it's the bigger picture in healthcare, but nutrition is an entry point to it. There's another whole population that is exposed to social media. Their ideas of what a normal body looks like is so perverse, they just want to be thin at whatever expense. It's the other side of malnutrition, but it's a problem. The other side is us. Why are you in healthcare, right? Some people want money. Some people just want to be popular. And there's nothing wrong in it. I mean, you have to take care of your family, you have to be stable, you have to validate what you've made all these sacrifices for to get this far in life. Some people just want to see the sick people get better. Right? Whatever your agenda is, that's okay. Don't do this. Don't be overweight and tell someone else to lose weight. We owe it to ourselves, and if you don't agree with that, you owe it to your patients, because if you're not healthy, you can't take care of your patients. The path ahead that I see is research. It's something I do. And the simplest study is how many patients from whatever cohort were educated about diet. If they were, do they feel knowledgeable? You can test their knowledge in some basic form. If not, did they self-seek for a correct diet? Or did they continue as before? Link it to BMI, comorbidities, severity of diseases, link it to profession, and as was mentioned earlier, MBBS sensitization programs. If we start with the young ones, they'll know at least something. And when things fail from the pharmacological side or interventions, they know to look back at nutrition. That's all.
Thanks, Dr. Ravi, for the wonderful presentation. Now we have Dr. Narasimhaiah, who will be speaking on nutrition, nature, nurture, and mind. Dr. Narasimhaiah holds the position of a senior consultant at Apollo Hospitals. He established and heads the Apollo Institute of Colorectal Surgery in Bangalore. Under his leadership, Apollo Institute of Laparoscopic and Robotic Colorectal Surgery is taking shape. Prior to joining Apollo, he served as a consultant general and colorectal surgeon at Princess Alexandra Hospital, Essex, UK. He holds the position of honorary senior lecturer in the Queen Mary University of London. He's a writer, researcher, teacher, and innovator. He has a project called Project Canfree. He'll be speaking about all that. I welcome Dr. Narasimhaiah for his address.
Good morning. The podium and the audience here seems to be very quiet. Namaskara. Vanakkam. Namaskaram. Good afternoon. Come on, guys, make some noise. See, I'm Dr. Simha. I'm here to enjoy the audience, the people around. You know, I would say something. I had a fall, I had a traffic accident 4 days ago on Valentine's. My wife said, "Where were you? What were you looking at?" But that's by the by. So I had an accident and I was not sure whether I'll come to Kochi. But you know what? She's beautiful. She's amazing. She's full of happiness and joy. And that's us, Kochi, for you. Let us have a big round of applause. Thank you for having me here. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. We're all doctors here. We're all medical professionals here. We're all human beings with a lot of care. I think the best doctor in the whole world is mother. I think she knows. She's the first doctor, I believe. She's the first clinician, I believe. And I think she's the one who actually puts healing into place. Whether it's the mother nature, whether it's your own mother who has given birth to you, whether it's your mother who has actually brought you up, I think there's a lot to be said about mother and the mother nature. Rajeena and me go not too long ago, probably a year or so, and Rajeena has been doing a lot of good work. Can we dim the lights, please, here? So Rajeena has been doing a lot of work, fantastic work, so to say. I'm a clinician. I spent about 2 decades in the West. And I came back to India for the pure reason of, let me give back something to my motherland. And I'm back into nature, looking after people with cancer care, and also doing what I love, farming. Nutrition, a very vital aspect of one's growth, one's progression. And I think the real question to be asked is, are we doing it right? Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. One world, one family. The health, the inequalities in the health is what we are struggling with. And I think the cause and the cure, I repeat, the cause and the cure for all ailments lies in the mother nature. And I think that is what we need to tap into. And nutrition becomes a very integral part of what we do. That's a bit of Kochi. This is my first visit to Cochin. I've traveled extensively, but for some reason I had missed out on Kochi. Some historic photographs, what Kochi is today, so to say, beautifully, look at that. That's some historic pictures. These were some pics which I took on the way in, flying down, and that was the sunset from the hotel. A beautiful location it is. People are phenomenal. Food is really nice. But what we really have to think about is, the way we are heading, is it the right way? If you can take one thing from me today, it is about what is that you, me, us can do for a better future. How is nature connected to what we are? How is nurturing ourselves to do with what problems we are going through, and what's the role of the mind? I think these are 3 things that needs to be connected together. The next 25 minutes or so, I'm going to touch base on what are we really dealing with? What is health? Do we understand what health is? What is illness? What are cancers, by the way? What are non-communicable diseases? And how is that we can utilize the mother nature, the nurturing and the mind to give an element of cure to these things? This is not me. This is World Health Organization. This is work that spanned about 3 decades. Desmond Freud, who spent about 30 years, 25, 30 years, researching on social science to talk about health. We were all in a state of ill health when we went through COVID. Social health, very important. And we were isolated. So to say, every one of us were not well when we went through those difficult 2 or 3 years. NCDs, a big beast out there. 60% of the problems we see with mortality and morbidity are because of NCDs today. I always give a small example of Gautami. See, we come from a phenomenal land. We come from a land of spirituality. Gautami was a disciple of Mahavira Buddha. When she lost her little one, she went crying, yelling, sobbing to Mahavira and said, please bring the little one back to life. Buddha, in his senses, meditating under the tree, says, can you please go and fetch a mustard seed from a house that has not seen death? Is it a possibility? Not possible. She went from town to town, city to city, or whatever. She went around the country coming back, having been enlightened, saying that the true reality of life is death. That is how common NCDs are today. I bet in this room, if somebody can put their hand up and say, I do not have a person in my near and far family with an NCD, I would like to talk to that person. It is that common, the NCDs today, which are actually preventable, but something we have lost out on. So NCDs are here to stay. It is for us to work out how we work around it. I'm a cancer surgeon, spend a lot of time in the West, Britain, US, Germany, Portugal, ask it, I have done it. If you look at it, we see about 2 crore cancers today, distributed widely, but an element of linear relationship is, the more civilized you are, the less poorer you are when it comes to health. No doubt we're all living longer today. If I told you we lived much lesser than we today, going back to the independence days, you won't be surprised. The average lifespan pre-independence was about 37. Now, the average lifespan in India is 70. Women live longer than men. Probably is the transfer of stress. Sorry. If you look at it, this is cancer journey. A lot of people whom we see in India today fall into this. But the more we get to this pathway, the better it is. And prevention is surely a cure. For those interested, I would certainly recommend that book, a phenomenal book talking about cancers. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to give you a small physiological exercise. No cheating, by the way. Can you please close your eyes? All of you, without cheating, close your eyes. Start concentrating on yourself, just for a minute, not long. As you start thinking about yourself, start concentrating on the breath. A deep breath in, through the nostrils, through the back of your throat, through the windpipe, into the lungs. The deep breath opens up the lung. Breathe out now. This is pranayama. A deep breath in, a deep breath out. As you're concentrating on your breaths, there goes the heartbeat. You can hear something beating, lub, dub, lub, dub. When you're doing this, there's a sudden message that comes on your phone, or a message that hits your brain. One of my family member, one of your family member, one of the kith and kin, somebody who's very close to you has been suspected to have cancer. Watch your heart racing. Watch your breath getting shallower and faster. Think through the emotions you go through. Scary. Thank you. Open your eyes, please. See, every one of you has gone through one or the other emotion, one or the other feeling. Whether you're a doctor, a surgeon, a common man, we all go through this. Why? The problem is, culturally, educationally, we've been brought up with a thought process to say cancers are scary, cancers are bad. But all is not bad, ladies and gentlemen. We'll talk about it a bit more detail. And to talk about, we are in a state of excess. Even nectar becomes poison in excess. And that's what we're facing today. I'm a Telugu guy, brought up in Bangalore, so I speak more of Kannada. In Kannada, we say, Atiyadalli amrutavu vishavaguttade, which translates to what I just said. In excess, even nectar becomes poison. And that is what we are going through today. If you actually look at it, this is not new. This is historical. What we want is only a quarter, but we consume 3/4 more. A quarter is for you, 3/4 is for the doctor who looks after you. So much true and apt for today. Look at this. The pollution we are going through is one of the main reasons why people are seeing cancers at an early age. Water pollution. I stayed in Kochi at the Marriott. I took a walk around the hotel and you can see the water flowing around the Marriott. The pollution, water, food, air, literally everything you ask for, you've got it. If you can do one thing today that can change the way we look at disease and disease process and prevention, it's this. Can we move the mindset, the physical, the functional, the psychosocial aspects from an urban lifestyle to a rural lifestyle? It's not about working from home from your farm, but leaving the stress of the urban culture and back to the farm with what we did 30 years ago, 40 years ago. What we ate was different 30 years ago. What we eat today is different. Processed food, food deliveries, Swiggies, Zomatos. Where is the agricultural organicity gone? Something to seriously think about. Ladies and gentlemen, cancers have not been new. They've been there from times immemorial. Karkata, that's what we called in Sanskrit. Look at this, very interesting. I call cancer not as a disease, but as a stage of evolution. I said we lived only 37 years ago, pre-independence. Today, we are living to about 70 years. 71 women, 69 men. This is the national average. In Kerala, the average is a bit more than 70. Karnataka, it's 70. Kashmir, it's 83. But the average nationally is about 70. So we're actually living longer, living better, but we're asking for more. So cancer is not a disease. Cancer is a stage of evolution, complexed by, complicated by the risk factors we are faced today. You're all doctors. I don't need to talk to you about the molecular basis of cancer. Human body is an amazing creation. I think this is the best creation the mankind has seen. We talk about robotics and automation. Come on, what else best automation you need apart from the human body? The only two things we do are eat and evacuate. Unfortunately, we do both of them very badly. The body contains number of organs, and each organ has got cells, and each cell has the capability to become a bad cell. The risk factors damage the nucleic acids. The ATGCs get disrupted. A bad cell is born. The body takes care by apoptosis, kills them all. But when the immune system goes down, apoptosis is defective. Your P53 is defective. When the surveillance is defective, a bad cell is born. And unfortunately, when the bad cells take over, they just overgrow at a much faster pace and forms a lump. That's all cancer is about. So cancer is actually not a disease, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's a stage of evolution, complex and complicated by changes in the nature, the way we nurture, and the impact on the mind. I think this is what I want to enforce on you. Every cell has the potential to become a cancer. And this is what we see. The risk factors we have put ourselves into has been driving things. Bangalore, the breast cancer capital of India, ask me why. Smoking, drinking, oral contraceptive pills, not having children, not getting married at the right age, not breastfeeding. What we are looking at is ourselves. But do you know autism is related to the elderly mom? Do you know ADHDs are related to elderly moms? The environmental factors are playing a role. The diet is playing a role. Processed food, red meat, contained food, all of this are having an impact. And obesity, one factor that actually causes all the cancers we talk about. Something to seriously
think about. We are in a CME of diet, nutrition, and plant-based foods. I think the Americans have given a lot of bad things to the world. And one of the things they gave us was fertilizers. Post-World War, the world was in a state of famine. To overcome, we put in the fertilizers to increase the yield of the crops. But did we stop it? No, we didn't. We continued to use the fertilizers. Today, the mother nature, the air, the water, the food is contaminated with urea, ammonia, nitrates, phosphates. You ask for it, it's there. But how do they cause cancers? Smoker, tobacco damages the lips, the lungs, and the cells change. The cells change to bad cells. When you have, whether it's vegetarian food or non-vegetarian food, which is rich in these fertilizers, ammonia, urea, nitrates, they sit in the gut, thereby damaging the cells of the gut. The poorer the evacuation, the richer the red meat, the richer the oil, the less the fiber, the less the cleansing, more damage is done, and that's how people get GI cancers. Look at this. How many of us love an English breakfast? I mean, I certainly did a few years ago. How many people like the fried food? Of course we all do. A lot of us do. Something to seriously think about. And the way we have been growing chicken on an industrial scale using medications is something that needs to be seriously thought about. And we are using the mother nature to treat these cancers that arise as a consequence of the damage done to the mother nature. Vinblastine, vincristine, multiple, not 1, 2, 3,000 medicinal plants have been identified and documented. A lot of them for cancer, so to say. I think when we deal with cancers, it is not about treating a cancer, ladies and gentlemen. It's about treating the person who harbors a cancer. It's not about one size fits all. It's about horses for courses. An elderly man who's 80 with a stage MASH cancer, maybe he's better served by doing nothing. Or a minimal therapy with radiation, or a touch of oral chemotherapy, compared to a 40-year-old who might be better served with a surgery and all the other treatments. Something to seriously think about. But ladies and gentlemen, all these things leave us with 3 categories of people. If you look at Yuvraj Singh, you look at Steve Jobs, you look at Monisha Koirala. So it doesn't spare anybody. Cancers don't spare anybody. It doesn't spare the royals, it doesn't spare the commoners. It doesn't spare the kings, it doesn't spare the commoner. It doesn't spare anybody, so to say. But it categorizes people into 3 different categories. Fighters, winners, and losers. Fighters are those who actually have a very good mindset. Psychoneuroimmunology, a field which has been less researched, less understood. A good trigger to a hypothalamus triggers your pituitary to your thymus, thereby ticking off more T cells which are immunoprotective, which are anti-cancerous. So I think what we need to think about is push those people with cancer towards a positive thinking, mindfulness, social support, yoga, so on and so forth, and that's what cures half the problem. Multiple therapies out there, but what we have actually forgotten is the role of the gut. A much bigger organ, much clever organ, much intelligent organ. Unfortunately, we have been paying less of an attention to it, but have been abusing it to a greater extent. The fried food we eat, they are pro-inflammatory. There are a lot of studies which have been done looking at pro-inflammatory cytokines when people eat excessive meat and people eat processed food and when they don't eat. Interleukin 1, 6, 8, TNF alpha, all of these go up when people consume processed food, red meat, fried food, so on and so forth. I think it is time we actually start looking at our gut and the nutrition. So true to say, our gut is truly under threat. And this is what we have to go back to, prevention. We are not reinventing the wheel. I'm sorry, we are reinventing the wheel. We are actually going back what we did historically. What we have done now, westernizing ourselves, we are trying to hitch back to our culture, to our tradition, to our modes of life that we had. As simple as this, look at this. The food we ate years ago was a balanced meal. How many of us have a balanced meal now? Tell us. It has got everything that we need. The right amount of salt, the right amount of lipids you need, the right amount of long-acting carb is short-acting carb, the yogurt, the probiotics, the appetizers, etc. But we have gone out of it. Something to seriously think about. What about the position we sit and eat? Very important. Tell me how many of us sit on the floor and have a religious lunch, so to say. Not many. We have lunch on the moon now. What about just the habit of eating with the fingers? We are talking about hygiene. I talk about fecal transplants because I do a lot of them. Eating with the hands actually is protective to you. It loads you with the right amount of bacteria required to build your immunity. So simple things of this nature are very important. What about that little gesture of drinking the water before food we did before? We don't do that anymore. The reason is it triggers the mind, it opens up the juices, it gets the guts contracting, it prepares for the food to be digested well. All these things are important, which we have forgotten, so to say. What about fasting? We call it fancy intermittent fasting. Everybody talks about, I am on a keto, I am on an intermittent fasting. But did we know we all had that? Fasting once in a week, fasting on a full moon, fasting on whatever. So I think fasting is a very important aspect of our daily routine. Science tells us telomere effect. Telomere is the tail end of a chromosome which we talk about, and the quicker it degrades, the faster you age. And when you do fasting, the speed with which the telomere degrades comes down. That is Nobel Prize work. So what we are trying to tell you is fasting is good. This is what we did before, something we have to think about. What about medications? People have done a lot of work. Aspirin has shown some promise, but not to the extent of recommending it on a regular basis. But this is important. Nurturing ourselves, exercise, 30 to 40 minute exercise a day actually prevents a lot of problems that one can have. Look at this, yoga. We are born in the land of yoga, meditation, prayer, and in fact, we have given up and the Westerners have taken up much more than us. Laughing, very important. Happiness is the best therapy, ladies and gentlemen. And if you actually look at what happens when people are happy, you'll be surprised. Every system in the body gets active, which is protective to one's health. And if you actually look at it, something less spoken about, you'll be surprised how much of harm the Western toilets have done to you. You'll actually be surprised. I'm a colorectal surgeon. I see so many patients with evacuatory difficulties. My dear colleague was talking about chronic pelvic pain, pelvic dyssynergia, difficult to evacuate, difficulty having a physical connect. So all of these things are related to toileting. And this is something I propagate widely about toileting. We are in a plant-based diet and nutrition workshop today. Did you know there are at least 300 medicinal plants that have been documented? A good 20 to 25 of them have been researched. So much so, Tata Memorial has opened up an 80-acre campus outskirts of Bombay to work on the medicinal herbs for cancer. Simple things, your ashwagandha, your grapes, your green tea, you ask if there is. Your turmeric. So much so they've all got significant anti-cancerous properties. And this is science. Talking about toileting, ladies and gentlemen. Things have changed. We are staying in a state of civilizational poverty. We have the best house. We have the best toilet. Unfortunately, you cannot evacuate. Think about historically, 25, 30 years ago. The morning ritual was picking up a small bucket or tumbler and walk down to the toilets. Then civilization creeped in. You said it's too far, let me bring it to the backyard. Victorians did it too. Then you were a bit lazy. You said, let me bring it to the back of the house. You brought it. Then you said, arey yaar, it's cold. Let me bring it inside the house. You brought it. Then said, oh, it's a bit far. Let me bring it into the room. You brought it inside the room. Now toilets are better than the rooms. Unfortunately, you have the best toilets, but you can't evacuate. I bet, ladies and gentlemen, 1 in 3 women here have evacuation problems. 1 in 5 men have evacuation problems, urinary problems, sexual dysfunction, and half of it is because of bad toileting, something to think about. This is history of toilets. All on the ground, Victorians, the Romans. Change came in. Look at this, the Western toilets creeped in. And this is as simple. This is anatomy. This is how we work. You're trying to open the door to come out. You close the door and pushing things. This is what is happening, ladies and gentlemen. A very simple tip. If even 10% of you can go back home and start using a squatty potty or go back to your Indian toilet, you will see how good your life is with better evacuation. So, ladies and gentlemen, healthcare is going in the right direction, needless to say. But there are things that we can make better. Prevention is surely the cure. And I think if we put our efforts, work towards better nutrition, work towards preserving the mother nature, work towards nurturing ourselves, and work towards a better mind, half the problems will be solved. So it's actually not all that bad, is it? If you think about it, 1947, your average lifespan was 37, and now we are living up to 70 to 80. Actually, cancer is not a disease. It's a stage of evolution, only complexed by the risk factors, and the only desirable risk factor we have is age. We all want to live longer, but live well is what we would like to see. On a population level, it's about creating that awareness. It's about reducing that risk factors. As doctors, we should spread this awareness, do early screening, treat them. And the government has got a huge role to play, whether it is about bringing policies in, whether it's about bringing rules and regulations in. So ladies and gentlemen, let us be the change we want to see. Let us go back and start that little kitchen garden we want to do. Let us stop using plastic. Let us start carpooling if you're traveling. Let us use the public transport. Small things can make a huge difference. Let us arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached. It's us, you, us, for a better future, for a better generation to come in. Thank you one and all. Happy to take any questions. Madam, do we have time for questions? Can we do it at the panel time? Lovely, thank you.
Next, I would like to call upon Dr. Prem Narayanan, who will be speaking on nutrition in type 2 diabetes remission. Dr. Prem is an endocrinologist specializing in both pediatric and adult endocrinology. As a head of department in endocrinology and diabetology, he brings expertise in a wide range of conditions including diabetes mellitus, obesity, metabolic bone diseases, and disorders of growth and puberty. With a focus on preventive podiatry for diabetic foot care, Dr. Prem is dedicated to providing comprehensive care to his patients, and his academic achievements include securing second rank in DM exams and receiving meritorious ranks in all medical honors exams. He is currently working at Ahalya Hospital, Palakkad. He is also quite popular in the social media. Welcome, Dr. Prem.
Good afternoon, one and all. First of all, at the outset, I would like to thank Dr. Raju, my colleague, I would say. We did the preparations for the entrance exams together in the train. I would say the Guruvayur passenger, isn't it, Raju? Yeah. So from that time, I know Raju. And also thanks to Dr. Rajeena for the kind invite. So my topic as good sessions, we had 2 of the sessions from Dr. Ravi and Dr. Narasimhaiah. And so I will be talking about the nutrition approach to the diabetes remission. So first of all, for the young generation, what is diabetes? In a simple words, what is diabetes? I'm not asking the word meaning. What is diabetes? Anyone? Young guns? Hope all of you have heard about diabetes. Anyone who have not heard about diabetes? No, all have heard. That's great. Any random answer? Okay, these are all resistance and all bigger answers. I just want a simple, I'm just expecting a simple one-word answer on diabetes. Okay, that is again a huge, broad. Yeah, perfect. So basically it is a carbohydrate intolerance, isn't it? So it's just a single word answer that will be a carbohydrate intolerance. So if you're not taking carbohydrate, for a person with diabetes, then are the blood sugars going to go much? No, isn't it? So it's basically a carbohydrate intolerance. So my flow of presentation would be, yes, just you can see the history, and I think the light, can we dim it? Yeah, thank you. So the history and evolution of the human diet, the old and the new changes and the concepts, and the type 2 diabetes mellitus complications, and some landmark trials on the remission in type 2 diabetes. So as we all know, India and China always are on the tug, and not even in the border also, but as far as the health is also concerned, we are also all competing with China for being in the #1 spot in the diabetes. So it is projected that by 2045 will be the #1 position as far as the people living with diabetes is concerned. So the natural history of diabetes, you can see it all starts with the pre-diabetes. So many of the time, what happens is that there will be a silent phase, which you or me, we will not be knowing about what is happening. And until there is a point of the metabolic breakdown, when the glycemic level starts increasing, or even the other parameters on the lipids starts increasing, that's where you are going to diagnose your diabetes. So type 2 diabetes, as you can see, accounts for nearly 90% of the diabetes that we see in your clinical practice. It is type 2. And 80% of type 2 diabetes, as you can see, is preventable. Okay, so now comes the next question. One speaker showing that type 2 diabetes reversible. So the $1 million question, is type 2 diabetes reversible? Is type 2, the question is, because you all will be seeing a lot of videos in the social media, now it's becoming a big scam, and lot you see, and so what is your concept on type 2 diabetes reversible? Is it correct terminology? It is not at all a correct terminology. Perfect. Anyone against this? No. So all are agreeing, isn't it? So type 2 diabetes reversibility is not possible. What is possible is a remission. Prevention, yes, as you can see, it is preventable by many ways, as you can see with the lifestyle modification. Genetics and epigenetic changes and all, it's not in our hands, but good quality of lifestyle definitely can prevent. That will be the message from that. But reversibility is not possible, but what is remission? So you will be thinking, what is the difference between reversibility and remission? Have you thought about it? Both sounds similar, but is there any difference? Pardon? Yes, sir? Yeah. So reversibility means the disease is never going to come back. So that is a difference. Remission means, yes, we have seen, as we have the oncosurgeon and all, cancer remission we talk about, many other autoimmune diseases remission we talk about, rheumatoid arthritis we talk about. So remission. So similarly, diabetes remission is what is possible. So what is diet? So to sum up, it is some of the food and drink consumed by a person. We classify it into macronutrients and micronutrients. Macro, yes, as you all know, the carbs, proteins and the fats, and the micronutrient will be vitamin and minerals. Sorry, I missed out to add one more calorie factor here, alcohol. Because right now, it has become like a family norm, the taking alcohol. I mean, there were older days like alcohol was like, oh no, but now we know that it has become almost like a family norm to take alcohol, so that is also adds to calories. So just a representation, you can see from the first hominin, just if you put it into a calendar, how we have progressed. So from January 1st, where the human civilization started, and from there up to, you can see, it is all start, the changes begins at the, you can see the, where you can see the agriculture. So when the agriculture begins, You can see that is where all the sudden changes started happening in our diet. And you can see agriculture started at 1 p.m. and you can see the caloric abundance by 11:50 p.m. So that means like the fast progression in the diet that has happened after the agriculture. So from a hunter-gatherer, the older hunter-gatherer, we became agriculturist, and that has resulted up, you can see from the change in the from the humans, and right now we see a lot of these kind of people in our clinical practice. So genes and the diet and evolution, so you can see the genes, sorry, because of the color it is not coming. Genes, it is like a tortoise, and the diet and evolution is like a rabbit, so it's going fast like that. But the genes, the changes to happen, it all takes a pretty good time for the genetics to change. So the previously put it up like the Neolithic revolution changes the diet that we see. Glycemic load, the fatty acid composition, macronutrient composition, micronutrient density, acid-base balance, the sodium, high sodium in the diet, the low fiber content. I would have just a criticism. I expected a fruit bowl as a starter for today, but we got cookies only. So, so for a nutrition conference, I expected a change in the plate also. Sorry. Oh, very nice. Thank you. So the obesogenic niche, as you can see, we always talk about, I mean, there is a lot of obese people or overweight obesity that we see in practice. But everything will be centered only around food, that you are taking a lot of food. But many people come and say that I take only 2 idli, or like 1 dosa, or this like that, a very small quantity only they will be telling now. But obesity, as you know, there are a lot many things still we do not know about. It's basically a complex system. You can say food consumption is only one part. Then the production, the social psychology, you can see the media availability, and the watching the TV and all these things in the pediatric obesity is increasing. And now we have all the foodstuffs delivered to our home. You do not even go to the restaurant, isn't it? You get it even directly at home. You just need to take the app and put your order. So, and you can see the individual psychology, all these things, physiology, then the genetic predisposition, then the individual activity, physical activity, environment. So all these things together is the obesogenic forms of obesogenic niche. Yes, older concept, we always talk about the calories, and we know that the 1 gram burning of fat results in 9 kilocalories of energy release, carbohydrate and protein around 4 to 4.5. This is a concept that we have proposed by the Atwater. And so what happens is that you can see here the usual concept: low physical activity, high energy intake, resulting in weight gain, insulin resistant, and goes on. So everything, that's an older concept. So the change in the concept with the present metabolic model is that high refined carbohydrates leading on to high circulating insulin. Then that results in, insulin is a dash hormone. Young guns. Anabolic, catabolic. Any confusion? You can tell? Anabolic hormone, yeah. So it results in the the energy will be parked into your cells, isn't it? So it inhibits lipolysis, or it promotes lipogenesis. All the glucose will be parked into the cells. What is the ultimate storage form of energy in the body? Ultimate storage form, excess energy, fat. Yeah. So fat is a storage form. So insulin results, all these things, adipogenesis and all. And so all these things, you can see the when there is high level of circulating insulins, that results in definitely the hunger and lethargy also. So that is why after taking a payasam, you get energy or you lose out energy. You feel lethargic and you want to sleep, no? That's it. So maybe the concept of calorie alone, we have to change in our mindsets. And another important thing is the consumption of sucrose and high fructose corn syrup. You can see the HFCS, so the high fructose corn syrup. All the bakery items are all loaded with high fructose corn syrups. You see a lot of dessert shops coming up daily, newer shops, and the tastes differ and the combinations differ. So palatability, isn't it? So there is always a pleasure center in the brain, isn't it? So if we are keeping here 2 boiled eggs, and maybe a well-dressed ice cream sundae, which one will be your option to take first? Sundae, yeah. All girls are with sundae. Anybody with a different option? Being a nutrition conference, some of them will be like that will go with the eggs, but the natural tendency of our brain is that to get pleasure, because you do not get that much pleasure with an egg as much like with the ice cream or the sweet. So, if that ice cream is without sugar or without any sweet taste, will you be taking it? No, isn't it? So, there is a sweet tooth gene. Everyone has a sweet tooth gene, I would say, including me. Everyone has a sweet tooth gene. So, it's all about controlling your sweet tooth gene is very, 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 very important to stay away from the metabolic disorders. So you can see even the world per capita consumption in Asia, nearly 50% increase in the per capita consumption of sugar, as you can see with the grams per day. Fructose, yeah, one of the most notorious sugar in our diet is fructose. What is sucrose? Sucrose, to the table sugar, glucose plus fructose, okay? Yeah, so the 50% there is also fructose only. So, all that we can see, as I previously put up, the bakery products and all the confectionaries, all the syrups, maple syrup and water syrups, all these things are very much loaded with high fructose, and that is one of the most metabolically notorious sugar, because that increases the risk for the fatty liver. And fructose, you can see nearly more than 25% will get converted to the glucose. The glycemic index of fructose is low, nearly 20 to 23 only. So the sudden spike is not going to happen. You might see some of the quacks doing experiment in the social media that after taking the this much of some fructose based fruit, my sugar level has not increased. But it is not the glycemic, and it is low in glycemic index. But the fructose can promote, you can see, it can get later converted slowly to the glucose, and that way it can increase the insulin release, and that's how it results. And even it promotes a fatty liver also. So fructose is very, very dangerous. So if you are taking, if you can change from table sugar to maybe glucose alone, if for your tea or coffee, that will be a better option rather than a table sugar. So you can see here the fructose it promotes the lipogenesis, increase the body fat, reactive oxygen species, and all those things we talk about. Again, the hyperuricemia, the metabolic syndrome. So it all starts from the fat getting deposited in the liver and also the periphery. After that, what happens when the liver is getting loaded with fat? What happens is that it triggers the inflammation in the liver. Okay, so from NAFLD, or the non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, it will move on to the non-alcoholic steatohepatitis, or what you can see, the inflammation in the liver. And when the process is continued on, what happens is that the next stage will be the scarring of the liver, then results in the nodular formation or the fibrosis, and ultimately the what you can see, the cirrhosis. Recently, the NAFLD leading on to cirrhosis and even to the liver transplant is as the number wise as common as like a alcoholic fatty liver disease. So it is definitely on the rise. So you can see again fructose leading on to even the atherosclerosis, vascular disease, and even high blood pressure. So these are all very, very important points to take. And Pure trial published in 2017 when I was doing my final year in DM. So till that time, our thought process mainly was like fat is a major notorious culprit as far as cardiovascular disease is concerned and the mortality is concerned. But Pure trial, you can see, showed the change, and it showed that the carbohydrates are one of the most notorious in increasing the risk for the total mortality. You can see the energy from the carbohydrate and the rise in the major cardiovascular disease, and also the increase in the total mortality. So yes, is it time to change the concept? Yes, you can see all the times 1971, you can see this is the most important person related to saturated fat. There is Ansel Keys as a 7-country study Dr. Rajeena was quoting about. And is it time to change our concepts? And even the JACC, the American College of Cardiology, new recommendation shows that it should emphasize food-based strategy that translate for the public into understandable, consistent and robust recommendation for healthy dietary patterns. So the time or the ticking clock hypothesis, everybody has, this is considered by different, so one of the most pioneer as far as the diabetes studies are concerned. And was fortunate enough to hear one of his talk, everybody has an insulin resistance which is entrained at the time of birth. Everybody has it. And the number of beta cells, that is another important fact, is that the number of beta cells in your system is also fixed. By the time of birth itself, it is fixed. It is not going to increase, but it is going to have only attrition or the apoptosis. So how fast you are going to promote the apoptosis of your beta cell, that depends on, that is the conference today, that is your nutrition. So he said that the type 2 diabetes has to be considered as two separate diseases in one person. The macrovascular disease that we talk about, the cardiovascular, the cerebrovascular, or even the peripheral vascular disease, the major component for those complications is insulin resistance. Okay? And the microvascular disease, it is directly related to the hyperglycemia. That is, the microvascular means the retinopathy, the nephropathy, that is the renal issues, or even the neuropathy. These are all related to the hyperglycemia directly. Macrovascular is a mixed bag, and out of that, yes, one is insulin resistance, very, very key factor, and hardly we are able to address that factor also. We have a few medications, yes, but how much it brings down, because we know about one of the most important drug is metformin, which can reduce insulin resistance, and it's one of the the older studies, UKPDS, showed that the metformin can reduce to the cardiovascular mortality also. That is the earlier drug. Recently, we talk about the GLP-1, the SGLT2 inhibitors and all. So this is a concept that you have to keep in mind, the type 2 diabetes, macro and microvascular disease. And so the change the proportion of macronutrients on your plate, it is definitely a high time. Reversible, yes, we already talked about it. Remission is possible. So let us review some of the literature. So one of the landmark trial which came up with the remission first was a direct trial, an open label randomized trial it was. You can see BMI 27 to 45. Lower duration of diabetes, type 2 diabetes less than 6 years. None of them were on insulin, and they were all put on a formula diet. Nearly 150 subjects were there. They were all put on a formula diet with 800 to 850 kilocalories per day. Formula diet basically it was, but with a well distributed of the carbohydrate, proteins and the fats. So the primary outcome, weight loss 15 kilograms or more, the remission of diabetes mellitus, HbA1c less than 6.5% after at least 2 months of all. That is a remission. Means the less than HbA1c less than 6.5%, and at least 2 months off on all anti-diabetic medication. That was the criteria they took. And you can see the control group and the intervention group. So the proportion achieving weight loss at 12 months. So, and the study showed that you can see based on the weight reduction how much actually. So when a person is losing more than 15 kilograms of weight, the chances for remission we can see is around 86%. So again, 15 kilograms or more. So remission is, again, the concept that you keep it in mind is that it is not possible for everybody. Again, there is a checkpoint there. So because in India, another important factor that we see with the diabetes is that apart from obesity, yes, obese from the affluent class, even we see a normal BMI or even a low BMI people coming with diabetes, where it is difficult for you to talk about the remission with weight loss. Because Indians, it has been seen that the insulin secretory defect, because we talk about resistance, the insulin secretory defect is also much more even than the like the insulin resistance. So that is a factor that we see with the low BMI or even normal BMI with the diabetes. So you can see even in the direct trial, even the year 1 and year 2, yes, you can see attrition is there. So the remission may not be for a pretty long time for each individual, and depending on how they are clinching on the nutrition, that will decide how long the remission will be there. Then again, there was another trial called the droplet trial, again which looked into the remission only, and we can see around weight loss of around 7 kilograms, and that also brought about a good amount of remission. And again, the look ahead trial, the RCTs, so the red one here is the weight reduction, and when the weight is coming down, the HbA1c is also coming down. Weight is going up, the HbA1c will go up. So in the look ahead trial also, remission of type 2 diabetes was more likely with a shorter duration of diabetes, that is less than 2 years, that is in the particular trial. More amount of weight loss, that is you can see around 6.5% of from the baseline, and greater improvement in the physical fitness. So everything has to be added together. Then again, another remission trial from the Qatar, again putting people on very low calorie diet, and you can see the weight loss which happened. You can see 60% remission with the highest with the more than 5%, and more than 15%. You can see nearly 21% remission, and the HbA1c you can see falling down. So then there are other trials like the DPP, DPPOs and all. I'm not going into detail. So which showed that you can see even the comparing with the metformin and the lifestyle group alone, the lifestyle group alone actually fared better if they are clinging on to the nutrition aspect and preventing the diabetes. Then there is another study, the Kerala Diabetes Prevention Program. It was a cluster randomized control trial, age of 30 to 60 years. The IDRS, that is Indian Diabetes Risk Score, is and with OGTT normal and 24 months follow-up. 17.1% of the control participants and 14.9% of the intervention group only developed the differences in the diabetes. So you can see the increase in the you can see the IDRS score came down with the intervention or the change in the diet. Alcohol use came down. Increase in the fruits and vegetable intake with more than 5 servings per day, and physical functioning score also you can see was better with the intervention group. So the take home points would be type 2 diabetes is preventable, and it is wrongly mentioned as it is remission, and remission is possible. And dietary modifications and exercise, definitely the physical fitness holds a key, and both these that is a LSM or the lifestyle modification and fitness can improve your mitochondria, because mitochondrial dysfunction is one of the key factor in the type 2 diabetes. And from you have time to change the concept or the focus from calorie alone, because I don't think no one is counting the calorie when you're putting the food on the plate, isn't it? Have you ever thought that you are taking this much calorie, which is not practically possible, isn't it? We talk about it and we talk to our patients also, but how is it possible to measure every time a food? And those are the things that make the people put into diabetes distress, because this is a long run process or the chronic progressive illness. And if you are asking them every time to count the calories, and that results in a distress. As I said, the food is also a pleasure also. Dr. Narasimha also was telling that the food was good in Marriott, isn't it? So yes, everywhere it is definitely there. Food is definitely an important aspect. It has to be enjoyed, but in moderation, I would say. Thank you all for the patient listening, and this is my place of work. Thank you.
Thanks, Prem, for the enlightening discussion on type 2 diabetes remission. Next speaker is Dr. Manoj, VC. He'll be speaking on targeted prevention in cardiac diseases through diet intervention.
Tiny words. It's fine. At the outset, let me thank Dr. Rajeena and Team PAN for having called me to have a short interaction with you. We would in the next 20 minutes or so try to look at rather some of the specific strategies we can adopt when we deal with the various chronic diseases. But at the outset, let me make my disclosures. I am not adult medicine physician. I am a neonatologist by profession. I do lifestyle medicine as a passion only, and I have thanks to my lovely wife, I have the fortune to eat whole food, plant-based diet 100% while at home, but I travel a lot, and as somebody was remarking and then again to the concept of coming again and again, I hold some positions in my organizations, and just when you advocate something, do we walk the talk that we do? This is something what I would like to ask you all before we start whatever I want to convey. We all are members of various, how many of you, forgive me for asking this, can I request a show of hand, how many of you are doctors in this? So I think, so then I am justified in asking this. How many of, when you attend a conference of your specialty, do you eat healthy? You don't. Rather, the worst food that you get is when you go for a conference. You go out. Do you get anything nice to eat? You go to the airport, previously, leave the airport out. Railway stations, previously we used to get fruits. What do you get in airport or railway station these days? Yeah. You get everything, whatever, however food can be poisoned, that is what is served to you. Why? Because we all get addicted, and that's how somebody wants us to be. So this is an introspection we need to do. And then as very nicely, I think Dr. Narasimha or somebody showed a cartoon, you have no right to ask the patient to do something which you don't do. We need to, first thing we practice in medicine is empathy. So, put yourself in their shoes. What you don't do, you have no right to ask them. So, this is my philosophy. Anyway, my experience in this field is coordinating the lifestyle medicine activities locally at Thrissur, where I am based right now, since 2017, and I was the president of the Indian Academy of Pediatrics there, and then subsequently in COVID times from 2020, it was a pan-nash because the Zoom came in and then everything became online. So now we have a group of 500 doctors and family in our group who discuss lifestyle medicine in our group. Nothing academic, only lifestyle medicine. And the only agenda being self-doing, nothing about patients. So this activity I am coordinating, and currently because when you go into this field, you know that we, as somebody rightly pointed out, we don't get trained in nutrition. During our initial days, what are we taught? All about treating diseases. There used to be one specialty. I did my MBBS in 84. Myself, Anasuya, we are classmates. So we joined in 84. And those days, there used to be, something called SPM. Then it became community medicine, and it is still there. We failed to realize the importance of this subject, preventive medicine. And then you look at what is happening. We spend crores and crores on treating diseases when it takes a penny to actually prevent these diseases. If this is not taught during your basic schooling in MBBS, how are we going to respect that? And that is something, there's a very big concern being, a question being asked in all the forums, and this is something that has probably slowly something will come up. So nutrition is a field which we doctors are ignorant of unless you go into it. And these days, of course, everybody is busy with their own work. So you can have associates who can do things, and then you can work. So the team approach is what will work, not that you do everything. So that's fine. Right now, why I said those, because I am currently doing a hybrid course, the first batch from CMC Vellore on a postgraduate diploma in lifestyle medicine, just out of my curiosity, because there are so many things you don't learn in your profession. Okay, so now, medicine, we all take this oath when we graduate. Hippocrates was a person who mentioned that all diseases begin in the gut. This is so many years ago. And from that, we have now come to an era of gut-brain axis in the pathogenesis of all the diseases. So we have evolved, but the basic principles, what he said those days, still remained. And we are taught the wrong classifications of things, nutrients during our biochemistry days. We are talked about carbohydrates, but when you classify carbohydrates, the right classification should be fiber rich and fiber deficient, fiber poor. That is the way we should. This I learned from CMC Vellore during my course. So we don't look at it, and what is the difference between these two? Because now from the last this decade, after the Human Genome Project, the Human Microbiome Project came, and then we realized that we have 3 million genes in our body which don't belong to us. Well, how many of the genes belong to us? 25,000, 23,000 to be exact. Whereas 3 million genes belong to the guests residing in our body, the microbes. And what do they eat? They want complex carbohydrates, fiber. You don't give them that. What do they eat? They will eat there's some complex carbohydrate in your gut, lining the gut, the indes mucosa. And then they will start poking there, and they will start eating that. And what does happen? You get leaky gut. One of the pathogenetic factors for all your chronic inflammatory diseases. And mind you, now the classification is coming in such a way that all the diseases, right from, of course, obesity, type 2, there are so many experts here, you can correct me, anybody feel free. We have gastro specialists, we have endocrinologists, and none of these, but you can correct me if at all anything what I'm saying is wrong. But like the lifestyle disease spectrum has evolved now. Now you call, what all you call lifestyle disease? You call right from obesity, diabetes, hypertension, heart disease. Spectrum is now growing to certain types of autoimmune diseases, all the chronic inflammatory diseases. Malignancy is a lifestyle disease. So that's what Dr. Narasimha was saying. So things are evolving. So finally, what are we treating in medicine? We are treating all these. We are not treating infectious diseases are a minuscule of things. And infectious diseases don't even dare, they don't dare to touch you. All of you know the health workers study during COVID times. Those who followed the healthy nutrition, the plant-based diet, they never had complications, to summarize, as compared to the other groups. It's a large multicentric study. So things are moving, and unfortunately we, in our busy schedule, are not able to update ourselves. And we don't walk the talk. We don't really follow what we preach to the patients. How do you expect them to comply? And then somebody has rightly said, hospitals are the place of breeding grounds of diseases. You serve puffs in hospital, and then how do you expect the patient, when you go and tell, don't eat, then why are you keeping it in your hospital? Why can't we dare to supply healthy food in the hospitals as a beginning? Why can't we dare to start serving healthy food during our conferences? Please ask yourselves. Anyway, so we have various eras of medicine. In the past, it was all intuition-based medicine. The expert says, the professor says there is a murmur, and of course, there is a murmur. The student does not dare doubt it, or rather, murmur is something. Seizures. Seizures is something. Like the professor says there is a seizure, so it's a seizure. No, so there is no other way. So now from that era we have come to the era of evidence-based medicine, and here we have a role for clinical trials, but then we have not stopped here. We are gone into the future where the various algorithms of the data that we collect from this are collected, put into sophisticated algorithms, and then you use machine-based learning, supervised and then even unsupervised machine-based learning and artificial intelligence to guide your treatment. So we are going in very fast. Are we forgetting our basics in this? What does evidence, so right now in the evidence-based era, what does evidence say? Whole food plant-based diet can cure all chronic diseases. Why plants? Of course, now this is a way of asking, let's look at it from another way. Food comes always as a package. You can't go to a hotel and say, I want carbohydrate. So you eat food, and when you eat food, and if you want to choose typical carbohydrate food also, you will have to choose between these two groups, animal food and animal-derived food and plant-derived food. And so you want to eat protein, so you want to take it, you can take it from both. Suppose you take it from the animal group, what are you getting? You get it comes as a package, you can't choose one, you have to take everything. Protein alone is good, we know, but you have to take it along with saturated fat. You have to take it with cholesterol that is embedded in all the animal foods. You have to take it with the uremic toxins. You have to take it with IGF-1, TMAO. So we're talking about microbes, and then TMAOs come. So all these are going to be, so you don't get a good package. You take it from the plant, you get fiber-rich carbohydrate. You get unsaturated fats, you get phytonutrients, the elixir of life. Same thing for fat as well. You need to have fat, you need to take certain percentage of fat in your diet. But if you choose a wrong package, you are going to pay a price. And this is the basis of the specific intervention. I know that time is limited. I can stop whenever you say I can stop. In the your fat package, well, if you are going to choose the plant as a plant-based food as your package, then you are definitely going to get various other added benefits also. You get the correct ratio. We all know that unsaturated fatty acids, PUFA, especially DHA, we know something about it, but what is the correct proportion? What is the index that you are supposed to have? In PUFA, are you going to take one group or the other? So there are various questions. So you get the correct package if you take a plant-based food, and then of course the added benefits of vitamins, minerals, etc. Animal foods, of course, you are going to pay heavy price with various other things. Of course, the cholesterol is the one that is I'm going to talk, so probably we'll talk about that. And then heme iron, which has very good, you take heme iron, this thing goes, hemoglobin content goes up. But now we know that will also give you another very added benefit of malignancy also. So everything you need to be aware. Are we aware of all these concepts? Unfortunately, we are not. So why am I saying all this? Probably because we look for evidence. It is not because of anything else. Even if I am not bothered about rather the vegan concept, I am not bothered about environment. I am looking at it from the evidence point of view. Proof is in the plants. And here, this is where I would love to salute the movement that PAN is doing. Probably you are propagating the evidence-based nutrition amongst physicians. Well, Now, coming to what I wanted to mention, or rather, one project that we are doing, that's what I wanted to just familiarize you, just to give you an insight into the nutrition strategies. Probably can we treat diseases once the disease is on? Well, what we are currently are doing is a project to lower blood lipid levels to improve health. Lowering lipid levels, all of you know, this is something that we all learned at some point of time during our curriculum. We know that total cholesterol, even though the Western cutoff is 200 in Indians, anything more than 160 is going to be the direct risk factor for cardiovascular disease. And then, of course, all other factors, whatever you think of, are indirect. I'm talking about the cardiac guidance. I know any cardiologists in this group? Yes, sir. You can correct me if I'm saying anything wrong. LDL. Yes, LDL probably now the recent insight have shown that this 100 is not a good enough value. You need to bring it down below 70 if you are to be in that safe zone. And very low levels of total cholesterol and LDL are not associated with increased risk of cancer. So, we are aware of things, but are we really looking at each and every of the risk factors? We are talking about cardiovascular risk factors. Lipoprotein A. Unfortunately, most of us, or rather 40% of Indians have high levels of, or rather are genetically predisposed to heart disease because of this lipoprotein A. And this elevated levels again and low levels of HDL, all these predispose us. So, the message is that if you can do some intervention, the facts, knowledge we know, can you intervene and then do something? If you can bring down a LDL by 50 epidemiological studies, I'll just quote this thing, 50 milligram reduction will result in 20% reduction in stroke. The beauty of epidemiological studies as compared to other, I'm not talking about the type of study, meta-analysis, RCT and all that, is that it's done over a long period, unlike the physiologic studies. So whatever is, at least in that population, that is like, that's why we respect Framingham heart study and all these, because in that population, that has to be respected. A 10 milligram reduction in your systolic blood pressure is going to reduce 22% of your major acute coronary episodes and 41% reduction in stroke. So these are figures from CADI, and the message is that lower the value you have, lower it is. So with this, we try to devise a project to lower or rather design a lifestyle intervention project to lower lipid levels. So while looking at that, when you want to look at when you want to lower the lipid levels, what are the interventions that have been proven by evidence to reduce lower lipid levels? We have the major one, the portfolio diet. Everybody knows about it. I'll just talk a little bit about it. And then there are, in addition, other interventions like moderate physical activity. Of course, that is there. Now that that has come as a dictum actually, moderate physical activity is mandatory for everything. The major insights being from all the areas actually. And of course, two other things where we all are deficient. Sleep. Adequate sleep. Do we get the adequate sleep during the circadian rhythm? Between sunset to sunrise, do we get that? 7 to 8 hours of sleep, do we get that? What are our stress levels? Stress reduction, are we able to do that? And then there is some evidence regarding this lowering lipid levels as well as intermittent fasting, which everybody was mentioning in some form or the other. And then rather this is some thing where anyway, now it's not part of our thing. Probably if we have time we can discuss in the panel. So, one of the interventions that has been shown to be as effective as statins, the first generation statins, which were devised at that period in lowering lipid levels. First generation statins brought down total cholesterol level to 31%, whereas portfolio diet consistently, this is the first study by Professor Jenkins from University of Toronto, had brought it down to 29%, as good. Just by diet, healthy diet, but with specific foods that lower lipid levels. That is where the catch comes. It has to be a healthy food, meaning it has to be a whole food, plant-based food, but that obviously, and then SOS free, they say, sugar, oil, salt free. So that is the taking it to the highest level. So if you do not, that alone is not going to lower your cholesterol, because specific, that is going to improve general health. For that, you need to have some specific foodstuffs. This is what he tried. And that is what I was trying to mention, I'm trying to mention today. So, like from each portfolio of nutrition, he has taken 1-1-1. And a portfolio diet in original form has 45 grams of nuts, 50 grams of plant protein, 10 to 25 grams of soluble fiber. Mind you, it's not a total fiber, soluble fiber. And 2 grams of plant sterols. So very simple, no? It's not that simple. This diet you cannot replicate in our country because plants, there are so many bottlenecks. And then if you eat the healthy diet so much, you can eat to a heart's content. After that, you can eat whatever you want in the whole food plant-based family. Still, you will lower your lipid levels. So this has been beautifully shown in the original study in 2003 and then subsequently in the various other studies also. And this is what I was mentioning. Actually, the diet was as good as avatostatin. So the first generation statins. So this is one intervention. The challenge we have in our country is we don't get plant sterols. They gave 2 grams plant sterols. So probably we need to actually have a mix of this thing. So we form something like that under the guidance of the Department of Lifestyle Medicine, CMC Vellore. We are doing this project. I'll come to the details of the project. And other interventions, as I mentioned, probably because of lack of time, I will not mention much. But what is intermittent fasting? Intermittent fasting by definition is consuming only water for 12 hours minimum. That is minimum 12 hours. It's very doable if you consider our old good the lifestyle. Isn't it? The basic concept which is actually now termed as circadian nutrition, not eating anything after sunset till sunrise. So if you 6 to 6, if you follow, that is intermittent fasting. If you want to improve upon it, increase the duration from 12 hours, make it 14 hours, 16 hours, 18 hours per day. That is depending on what are your targets. So at least 12 hours has been shown to improve the lipid profile. Exercise, of course, exercise is something that all of us love to do, but are lazy to do sometimes. Keep doing sometimes, but then this is something that has shown to favorably outcome, has favorably influenced the outcome because of the HDL cholesterol maturation that it helps. Now, in the recent book, How Not to Age, one of the interventions he has suggested is actually, how many of you have read that book? Okay, not yet completed, yeah. So, one of the interventions mentioned is exercise, but in that actually, there are so many interesting, anyway, if you have not read the book, there is no meaning in discussing it here. Actually, the interesting findings about each of the interventions, he has looked at evidence and said. And sleep is something that has been shown to be associated with, sleep duration is associated with the LDL and LDL versus LDL as well as the cholesterol ratio, LDL ratio. So now the recommendation is to have as much as 7 to 8 hours of sleep. How many of you sleep for 7 to 8 hours? Can I request for a show of hands? Really, that is fascinating. I thought we doctors don't get to sleep like that. Somebody is able to organize their lifestyle like that. That's fascinating. Anyway, the majority did not raise their hands. So we are actually, sleep is the time when we repair our genes and rather get, all once you get into your shape, you all get refreshed after sleep, because the reparation and all the damaged genes also, whatever changes, so many things, the telomere effect somebody was talking about, all these things are helped during this process. So sleep is a very important factor which we are challenged not to have. Stress reduction is again one of those. So there are various interventions. These are the interventions we tried in our group, and we called our study CLIP, Cholesterol Lowering Lifestyle Intervention Project. This is actually a pilot study where we enrolled 100 doctors and family, and who are in the study now. So I won't be able to divulge the other details, but however, the research question was, will a customized lifestyle medicine strategy over a period of 6 weeks lower lipid levels significantly between in all adults between 80 and 70 years? And it was an intervention study, of course, not a RCT. It's very difficult to do an RCT, and this is a pilot study. We will be planning to eliminate those who don't comply also, because it's a pilot study. We are planning to make it a multicentric study in the later on phase, where in the original portfolio diet, they showed remarkable improvements in just 2 weeks, and then they stopped the study at 4 weeks. So that was one. We are doing the same thing. 4 weeks we are planning to do the study, and I will skip these parts. So our primary outcome parameters will be looking at the total cholesterol level and LDL. However, we are looking at the other lifestyle parameters or other biochemical markers, the easily doable biochemical markers. There are so many which we are not able to do because this is not a funded study as of now. Well, I think I will, other things, I don't know if any of you would be interested. So I think we can discuss in the panel. So once we hope to complete the intervention by the end of third week of March, and then after that it will be the analysis. So I would stop here. Since already you're looking at the time, so probably I'll stop here. The parting message, let us, from prevention, let us go on to the next stage of treating. If you want to treat disease also, let's develop strategies to use the most powerful weapon we have, plans, and treat the chronic diseases, including your malignancy. So this should be our goal, and this we can do only in a very elaborate fashion. First, the knowledge transfer. The knowledge is the studies are there. If you know how to actually not look at the studies that you want to see, but look at the larger picture. Because unfortunately, it's a dirty world out there. When you do a Google search or PubMed search, it's a dirty world. You look at the funding. A study showing that egg is beneficial in a multicentric study. I can show you 10 studies. Look at the funding. The egg industry has funded that study. So you should know what is the funding. You should know how to critically do a journal club. We all have done in our PG days, journal club, isn't it? So journal club, how to critically analyze the article, look at the article, then you will say that evidence is there. That's why WHO and all the major organizations are recommending this. However, it has been diluted because world is all about money, and you have money, you can throw money, you can make anything into anything. So you should, as scientists, let us be scientists, not biased people who cannot come out of our comfort zones and do something that evidence say, something that doesn't suit me. Let me see some evidence that will suit me. Then I will do that. Look at it in an unbiased manner, because we are all scientists. Basically, if you are a doctor, you are a scientist. So respect science, respect evidence, and then let us try to do some good for, first of all, not for the patients, for yourself, for your family, and then, of course, for your patients. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Manoj. And you are completely right. Most of the studies are industry-led studies. And we should refrain from such studies, because every time some companies are sponsoring any or giving funds for the study and for the research, they have some agenda behind it. And a very interesting thing you told about the journal club. And we also have journal club in our pen, and I would like to have some of you in our journal club, where we choose this study which is on plant-based diet, but we always see what are the industry and what are the funders out there, who is sponsoring that study. So that's good if we can critically evaluate what we are reading, why we are doing, and why this study is promoting eggs, we can say for the plant-based as well. That's why we refrain from collaborating with the industries. So that's a really eye-opening presentation we had. And what a power-packed plant-based CME we had today. What a power-packed presentations we have today. Cerebral palsy, cardiovascular diseases, and diabetes. And now we have panel discussion, the most interesting part of this CME. So I would like to invite you on this stage. And she is a nutritionist. She is a part of IDA, Kerala chapter. And please come and introduce yourself and head this panel session.
Thank you, Ms. Shruti. I want to thank Dr. Rajeena to bring PAN to Kerala. And okay, so I am Pooja Manoj, and I'm international board certified lifestyle medicine professional. I'm also a dietitian. I'm a certified diabetes educator, and I'm also into fitness as well. So I'm American College of Certified into fitness, sports medicine, and I also take Zumba classes and other formats like Strong Nation, yoga, Pilates, etc. So now we're going to have panel discussion, and I would like to invite the speakers on the stage. Dr. Bindu, Dr. Veena, Dr. Prem Narayanan, Dr. Manoj, Dr. Ravi, and Dr. Narasimha. Who's not? Yeah, Dr. Veena. Okay. So I would like to have the questions, if the audience have any questions before we begin with the other things.
Anybody got questions?
Yes, sir. Please introduce yourself, sir.
Regarding sleep, I am Dr. Charvagan, Professor of Physical Medicine, Medical Alpura. And with respect to your talk and regarding importance to sleep, duration of sleep, it's very positive, mainly because I am suffering from lack of sleep nowadays. And my perspective is that when I enter into more of aerobics, and then I practice more of aerobics. And for the last, I do aerobics a lot, but recently for the last 1 year I have been into cycling and motor walking. And is that connected with the loss of sleep, whether height of aerobics lead to decreased sleep duration? Because I often feel that even after 5 hours of sleep, I am more energetic, getting up at 4 a.m. So is that got any relation with loss of sleep? And as I was saying, deep sleep is enough. 1.5 hours of deep sleep is enough. Even if you get 3 hours sleep, if that contains 1.5 hours of deep sleep, it is well and good. So what is your perspective? And is that got any relation with less HDL? I want more HDL now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that question. Actually, right at the beginning, I showed a slide of eras of medicine. The future, we said, is of precision medicine. And like we now know that this disease is treated this way, but we do not really understand why the same treatment does not work for everyone. So there is a lot of scope for individualization. The 7 to 8 hours which I quoted is from the lifestyle medicine recommendations where you are supposed to. I am also guilty. I don't sleep 7 to 8 hours except when I get a chance. I sleep early. I try to sleep early. Early means not as at 6 o'clock. I try to sleep by 8:30, 9 or latest by 10. But then I get woken up once in a while at 2 o'clock with a call, even though I am third on call with some baby being bad in my NICU. And so, our challenge, the challenge is in our profession. In the clinic, those of you doing clinical practice, we know that it's a challenge. But even otherwise also, so we don't get, but then we are fresh in the morning after we get a deep sleep. So this is very true. What you said is very true, sir. It may not be true for everyone. There is a branch of medicine called sleep medicine. I hope all of you are aware of it. One of the persons who is doing good work on this is Dr. Ramakrishnan, Apollo Hospital, Chennai. So there they go into the various aspects and actually, so it may be enough for you. 4 to 5 hours may be enough for you. Our Prime Minister sleeps for 3 to 4 hours. That's what I was told. And there are so many other celebrities who say that they sleep only for so many hours. So it may be true. But generally the recommendation is, especially if you have any disease, 7 to 8, you should start with, see, it's not all or none for those of you who are fit and able to do everything. Like I have no problem, I can do anything. Still, we need to stick to whatever is possible, as far as possible. So the circadian rhythm has to be followed, which means that afternoon nap is not what is counted. So early you sleep, you try to get 7 to 8 hours sleep, whatever is practical, and then see whether it's suiting you. So it may be worthwhile, sir, if you can do, maybe you take a break and sleep so much and see your LDL level, whether it's coming down because of that. Because you have to do an experiment on yourself. Nobody will tell you. This is a... Yeah. No, one thing is that sleep is a time, it is known that because the telomere repair, the whole longevity, the studies which I quoted are healthy longevity, sleep is required 7 to 8 hours. We all die, Kerala doctor dies at 60 years, whereas the counterpart lives up to 72. If you are not a doctor, you live for 72. If you are a doctor, you die at 60. Average, I'm just saying the IMS study I'm quoting. So probably what you feel, youngsters, you eat, you go to KFC, you eat that, you eat this, and I am very healthy. We're talking about after 50s, after 60s. You may be live, but are you healthy at that point? Healthy longevity, this is the recommendation. So this is all what I can know. I'm not an expert more than this. Anything you want to add?
Yes, maybe you can try magnesium. I have tried magnesium, so the quality of sleep actually gets improved. So we can try magnesium preparation. And you, melatonin, I mean, I have not tried giving it to patients much, but yes, as you all know, melatonin is supposed to be a sleep hormone. But we do not have any authentic data on that right now. Magnesium oxide 400 mg, yeah. Once daily, that should suffice. But there are good studies on magnesium and the sleep and sleep quality.
But what is your problem, sir? You are not able to sleep or you are not fresh after that. What is the problem?
I am fresh.
Just one more point.
Before this, to attend this CME, I came from New York today morning. Because most of the others, our fraternity blame us on that part. You are not sleeping, so sleep is important. So 8 hours, at least 8 hours. So
No, none. I'm sure that none of the doctors here are sleeping 7 to 8 hours. Anyone is getting? I am not getting. I will tell you. And were you talking about? Were you talking about a low HDL, sir? No. Did you?
I used to take 3 tablets, 3 tablets per week.
No. Were you talking about LDL or HDL?
HDL is around 54.
Oh, fine. Then it's okay.
See, I don't know, I'm not a physician, I'm a surgeon, but what I think is, we should go back to the basics. Physical exhaustion, physiological content, and psychosocial calm. See, people talk about sleep cycle, people talk about melatonin, people talk about, literally a lot of pharmacological interventions. But, at least by looking at you, you're somebody who's career driven. There's an element of anxiety, things wanting to do more things. And I think switch off your mobile phone. See, it's very difficult. Yesterday I was telling Rajeena, I came at 4, slept and woke up at about 2 or 3 in the morning. Because that is the best sleep I've had, because no work, I've just switched off the phone or whatever. So I think the social media, the interventions we have, the thought process that run through has a significant impact. And especially the processed food, as you was mentioning, KFC, they have things that actually keep you awake and running. So I think it's partly the lifestyle, I think. And you go down, I don't know, somewhere to the rural suburb, no power, no internet, you'll automatically sleep at 9 o'clock. But physical exhaustion, physiological content, and psychosocial calm is required, I think. And I think going back to the nature, nurture, and the mind. In pharmacological health, I think it should be limited. Yes, melatonin helps to an extent to bring back the circadian rhythm. That's where cortisol and all of these are really related to them. I think that's my thought, so to say.
I think, yeah.
Dr. Charu, what time do you take your coffee and tea? Last. Evening 6, 7? Or do you drink a lot of stimulants? In the sense, what happens is, what's generally the rule is, if you're older, say around 50 years, I'm not talking about alcohol. That's not a stimulant. Okay, I'm talking about your regular tea and coffee. As far as what I've read, is that if you're older, actually you should stop around 4 p.m. That's the last, because that's when actually your melatonin levels start to rise. Yes, I think that if you drink a lot of those, because I think most doctors do, I think we should stop taking these teas and coffees around, say, 5. Stop it at that. So I think these are simple things that we actually make mistakes. So that is why the sir was saying you don't have to take a pharmaceutical for that.
Tea or coffee? No tea or coffee?
No tea or
After
coffee.
4, after 4.
You can go, you're a lot younger than the very old people. So I would say even 4 is fine, because that's usually tea time for us Indians. So I think that was right. Yes. Our cultures are right. Yes. We should stop around 4. I think that may help. It's just a thought.
I think most of them have added the points. I think it's good for you to also look at taking up lifestyle medicine exam. Here. Yeah, lifestyle medicine exam. One of the chapter is sleep. So whatever they have discussed is very clearly mentioned. all the melatonin suppressors needs to be avoided. One of the thing is, blue light is the most potent inhibitor of melatonin. So you need to cut off your digital devices at least by 1 hour before the time when you want to sleep. Second is actually evening physical activity, which Dr. Narasimhaiah already said, at least 2 to 3 hours before, which also induces melatonin production and reduces your cortisol, which is very important during the wake up and rest of the day. Third is actually you should avoid a heavy carbohydrate-rich meal, especially at dinner. Try and go for lighter meals. And any caffeine and related stuff, which is stimulants, needs to be avoided. And the fifth one is actually that the aesthetics of the room, high bright light and stuff needs to be avoided. Try and take your mobile out, which is a practical guidance I gave it to people. Then what will I do? I don't get sleep. Take a book. Start reading some of the books Dr. Manoj has already put out there. Start reading book. I think the telomere effect is also one of the ones I normally suggest. And people who really want to lead a healthy, longer life, I think you should start. Yes.
Regarding books, I would all of you, if you are not into lifestyle medicine, the first book I would recommend is the China study.
Yeah.
It's a massive epidemiologic study in rural versus urban China done by Professor Colin Campbell and group from US, of course with the associates from China. They have really, and that is actually, it's a long-term study, how the same population, when they change from plant food to the other type of food, how the diseases everything, the malignancy, all the diseases. It's an amazing book. It has, and then of course there is a movie also. So this is one book you can start with in this journey. I would recommend.
I do strongly recommend all these books. Basically, T. Colin Campbell's China study. It's not restricted to that, but people who really want to know the world of evolution of lifestyle medicine and nutrition intervention in medicine, especially this plant predominant eating pattern. I think we should start with some of the documentaries, which is the first one is Forks Over Knife. Second one is Game Changers. These are all actually like putting us into a context actually. It is not giving any knowledge. It's just like the session today, it's like giving us a context of the thing. Then go in detail of these things. Another one is...
what the health?
What the health?
Yeah,
some of these things. Yeah.
Netflix.
Yes.
Subscribe to Netflix.
And also the recent study which which happened in Stanford under Dr. Christopher Gardner. Christopher Gardner is the top nutrition scientist in the world and Stanford head of medicine. It came as a documentary of 4 hours, 4 series. It is called
You Are What You Eat.
You Are What You Eat. That is something you should watch it actually. It's like really showing what we are saying in a different context. Please start watching these things. It gives you a context. Then you go in deeper into all these studies. Some of the studies are nurses study. You can start with our regular Framingham's to 7 countries studies, but also look at some of these long-term epidemiological studies like nurses study, healthcare professional follow-up study, many of those things actually. And then doctor portfolio trials and many of those things. It takes, also you need to understand that somebody who wants to take up nutrition or lifestyle medicine as a serious thing or want to practice, it will take time. It's not like something, the nutritionist is doing, I can just go there. And it's not. You are actually learning that and putting that perspective as a clinician into your patient. So it takes time. So put that effort. You will definitely do a good job. You will actually get better patient complaints, even if patient is on medicine. And you can also take 80% of the patients out of medications if it's early stage. You can actually prevent 80% of the diseases. Let's start doing that. And also start analyzing in ourselves, like whether we need to lose weight, our eating habits are bad, our sleep is bad, we're not exercising. Start correcting ourselves first, then go to the patients.
Can I ask, just to know that this is a informal discussion, how many of you are into some sort of plant-based medicine?
Great, doctors.
So I think a lot to start with actually.
I think there is one doctor there who raised his hand.
So there is there.
Just to add to all the discussions we are going on, basically we are all talking about the time duration of the quantity of sleep. So actually more important is the quality of sleep. So I have wondered actually, I mean the Sadhguru, he says, and he is a big proponent of short sleep. He sleeps for only 3 to 4 hours. And we all know how fresh he is. So I wondered actually, is it possible? But I have myself, from my life itself, I have tested and found that the quality of sleep is more important. And the most important factor in that is your dinner. If you place your dinner at least 4 hours before you go to the bed. And the second thing is, like late D. Babu Paul said, actually, Malayalam, kedannu orangarudnu parayum. Kedannu orangarudnu enna parnju. അതായത് ഉറക്കം വരുമ്പോഴേ കട്ടിലേ പോയി കിടക്കാവൂ, കിടന്ന് ഉറങ്ങാൻ വേണ്ടി ശ്രമിക്കരുത്. സോ യു ബി ആക്റ്റീവ് ടിൽ യു ഫീൽ സ്ലീപ്പി. ഡോണ്ട് ബി ഓൺ ദ ബെഡ് ആൻഡ് ട്രൈ ടു സ്ലീപ്പ്. And the third thing is actually the feeling with which you go to sleep. I mean, especially, talking about the coffee or all the stimulants, including the alcohol. I mean, if you are a regular coffee drinker or alcohol drinker, give at least a space of 4 to 6 hours before you go to sleep. Okay, if you are drinking at 7 o'clock, don't try to sleep early, because it's all about the freshness with which you rise up is all about the structure of sleep you had. So we all know, I'm not going into the details of it, but we should have through the all cycle of sleep actually, and you should get up with good dreams. That is the REM sleep actually. I mean, so then you feel fresh. Okay, thank you.
So sunlight exposure is also one thing which has got a role in good sleep.
Daytime sunlight exposure, afternoon less of sunlight exposure. I think the book is something which will give you a better perspective of sleep. There is one called some chapter, why we sleep, why we should be. At the same time, lifestyle medicine. This gives like step-wise guidance about it. And I work with patients, I think get frustrated when we tell them to change their pattern. But it takes like 4 or 6 weeks to put that dramatic action and practice. I have done it. I have major issues when I started failing, but I'm sleeping 7 hours every day. Most of the days.
This is a question regarding your portfolio trial and the trial you are doing in. Most of the cardiovascular primary and secondary outcomes trials were based on statins. So statins have some, and their outcomes were cardiovascular mortality and hard endpoints. But you're taking a lower cholesterol as an endpoint. And there has been no study known without statins, reducing cholesterol hasn't proven any cardiovascular mortality improvement. So plant steroids and plant-based diet alone, lowering cholesterol, do we have any evidence which reduces cardiovascular mortality or outcome?
This is exactly the reason why the study is devised. The portfolio diet, what they did is they randomized people into 3 groups. One group, they gave the healthy diet, which means whole food plant-based diet. So they were not comparing with some junk diet. The other group, they gave the portfolio diet, which also, it's a specific whole food plant-based diet. And the third group, they gave statins. And that's what I said. The difference was so much only. And as we say, you're talking about the long term.
The endpoint.
Endpoint
so
is...
lowering cholesterol shouldn't be an endpoint.
It was a 4...
That should be a hard endpoint.
For 4 weeks is the time that is measured in the study, and the endpoints were in the study were cholesterol levels, the total cholesterol and LDL. Now, if you want to do something like a epidemiology, you are talking about epidemiological study like Framingham Start study where this has resulted in that. That is a long task, and probably we have some to extrapolate, statistically extrapolate from the data we have. Healthy plant-based nutrition longevity is much higher than the other group. Now, these two are different. It may appear different. How can you devise an epidemiological study of a longer duration different? We are into research, let's take it as research only, and then what is the outcome you're going to find? At least you're going to find the physiologic parameters of what you're going to look at. Your cholesterol level, whether that is actually resulting in mortality. No, mind you, if you say that, I can have an opposite argument. Statins are known to raise your lower your threshold for developing type 2 diabetes. Those who are actually, on long-term statins, they develop diabetes. So
we don't have proper evidence for that.
We have.
There are subgroup analysis has shown something, but statins might unmask diabetes.
Sir,
but it wouldn't cause diabetes.
When we do not listen to nature and start believing in drugs, and then drugs are going to be the effects of drugs will come at a later stage. We have learned this so many times in various other interventions. Every intervention, if we cannot learn from our past mistakes, that will be foolish.
We are talking about evidence-based medicine.
Yes, Doc.
Yes,
actually,
exactly.
I would like to interfere and answer. Actually, there was a lot of discussions regarding this whole food plant-based diet and cholesterol reduction, especially with the statin, with portfolio diet stuff. And there's a global lifestyle medicine group. There are a lot of cardiologists there. So the final discussion point came out as actually we do not have enough data right now to prove that the cardiovascular mortality and morbidity comes down with plant-based diet alone. So some of the cases where LDL cholesterol was higher and there is a family preponderance of CVDs, SCVDs. So advice was actually let's not stop statin. So that's a current level. But at the same time, we need to understand that there is some field like this coming, which is giving more and more data right now. So we should be embracing that, analyzing it, not with a critical mind, analyze, evaluate, and see whether it's something which we can incorporate into the patient's thing. WPB, whole food plant-based diet, doesn't have all answer to any diseases. It is a way of life which will help you live better, get an optimum health, and also help your patients to, even if a patient is on medication, his compliance level will be better, his overall health will be better. I always tell people that if you're not able to do this or guide your people about a whole food plant predominant eating pattern, you're taking a privilege out of the patient. Maybe the patient is on medication, but his overall longevity goes high, his or inflammatory markers goes down, many benefit, anti-aging happens. That's what we need to be present in, but collectively we come together, we need to create more studies to prove this. Okay, sometimes it may not work, but we need that movement to happen right now. That's what it is. That's a message I would like to pass.
Yes. See, I totally agree with Manoj sir. I am very glad that you brought up the point that evidence is required for whatever we give. I have burned my fingers. I just want to tell. So in rheumatoid arthritis patients, those who are in remission, we withdraw drugs. I'm an immunologist and rheumatologist. So
sir, please, what is your name, sir? I am ignorant actually. That's why. Yes, sir. I heard your name, but I don't know you by face. That's why. Yes.
No worries. So basically, what in rheumatoid arthritis patients, we withdraw drugs. And on top of that, if you look at the PubMed or any evidence-based medicine, maximum evidence for curcumin. Curcumin extracts are supposed to be extremely efficacious in cancer, anti-inflammatory, immunological effect, it inhibits all the inflammation. So we designed a study in 2018, giving curcumin to 100 patients and placebo to 100 patients, and for 1 year. So the study took around 200 patients, we randomized, followed them for 2 years. At the end of the day, I will tell you, when we broke the code, because I couldn't sleep, because the placebo was performing better. And the biggest criticism with curcumin is that curcumin doesn't get absorbed. So we have an HPLC, we have curcumin active gradients, and curcumin was getting absorbed. Curcuminoids are there in the blood, but effect is less. So what problem is that a lot of things I keep telling people, we for yoga is effective. See, everything, this is effective, that is effective. There are plans, but there is the evidence. So that if we don't speak evidence, what is the difference between us and a quack?
Exactly.
There's no difference.
That is the word.
And whom to believe? Unless we create evidence, but the problem with this curcumin study was entirely funded by us. It took a lot of our resources. But how many people are willing to fund and their own and do a quality study, and for what? What gain? So that for we need a momentum. This is momentum is in the right direction. But the problem is creation of evidence in a proper way is not an easy job. And ultimately, those people who gave us curcumin free, there was a group, I don't want to name who it was, a big company who is biggest exporter. They were very happy that we published this data. It was in the public domain, and ultimately, life is not as easy as it seems. Thank you.
Good.
And about LDL, we always talk about the level, but there is something called the molecular fractions of LDL, the small dense LDL and the large LDL. And the small dense LDL are the ones supposed to be more pro-atherogenic, and large dense LDL is not that much atherogenic is the studies we have. So we do not, or we never measure the subfractions also. So it's always, very difficult to comment. And also labs. Now, the labs are there everywhere. There are very small labs also. Everyone is doing the lipid profile, HbA1c, all these tests, and the standardization is definitely not there at all. Only very few labs have the quality assessments also. So the levels are definitely, we have to take it with a pinch of salt. And statins, yes, definitely statins have their role, and we never deny that. And statins have, apart from LDL cholesterol lowering, it has a pleiotropic benefit, and which brings out as the reduction of the cardiovascular aspect. And also statin-induced diabetes is not a myth, I would say. Statin-induced diabetes studies are there. But again, more studies are required, because it is very difficult, because to put it into a randomized control trial, group on statins, not on statins, and follow it up for a longer period of time. So it will be prolonged, as Dr. Shana was telling. The funding is again a big problem. No statin company will be ready to fund that kind of a study. So these are all practical difficulties. But according to NNT, if I remember, if you treat, I think, 250 people with statin for moderate to high intensity for more than 4 years, then out of that, one might develop diabetes, is the NNT data that I remember.
So do you put your patients with diabetics on statins?
Yes, depending on the, not for all of them.
Why? There's no evidence for that.
No, not of, I mean, the risk stratification is very important. Say, for example, a 32-year-old coming with an LDL of 120 and he is having diabetes. So I would go with the lifestyle modification at that point. But as you see with the guidelines, ADA suggests more than 40, those who are above 40, to put on statins. So that is the ADA guidelines. So based on that, so because I see, being an endocrinologist, I see people, even type 2 diabetes at the age of 15 years. I have the youngest type 2 diabetes in the follow-up is a 9-year-old.
Oh my God.
9-year-old with the type 2 diabetes. So these are the things. So there we definitely will wait. Yes, so when you are strictly following, say, whatever mode of diet, because recently if you see the Google or even searches, and a lot of diets are there, keto diet, that kind of diet, Mediterranean diet, all sort of diets are definitely there. So yes, the micronutrient supplementation, when you go in for such a sort of stringent sort of diet plans, there is for the micronutrient deficiencies there, because as you know, I mean, we talked about the quality of the vegetables that we are getting. So because of the high demand and also the hybrid varieties of the cultivation that is happening, so that is also one of the reasons for many of the deficiencies of the micronutrients and some excess. Because if you see some of the studies that now the refined rices that we are taking, the arsenic levels are supposed to be more compared to the previous cultivation of rice because of the hybrid cultivation. So all these micronutrient changes levels are also happening. So if you are sticking on to a particular sort of diet, definitely better to take a micronutrient supplement. You can monitor, because HB, you can screen your hemoglobin. And if you are going into like a sort of a low hemoglobin, better to supplement it. That would be
Can
fine.
I add something, Doc?
Yeah.
Okay. This is enough. You carry it. Basically, again, plant-based diet is an umbrella term. Okay, plant-based diet is an umbrella term. We all know that, Mediterranean to DASH to TLC comes under that. In any of these things, they all ask to moderate or reduce animal products. It's not completely this thing. If somebody like me, I'm a vegan because of some other reason, or maybe ethical reason, or I watched a lot of these videos, I felt like I want to have a more sensible eating pattern, and my home environment was conducive for that. I've been vegan or whole food plant-based WFP, the whole food plant-based eating pattern without any animal products for the last 5 years. So initially I also didn't know about much about these things, and then over the years of research, all type of eating pattern has dietary deficiencies. 2022 there are like few studies which I can share in the group, but plant-based diet is prone for deficiency of vitamin B12, D, calcium, omega-3. So that's well known. And also when you look into the details of it, with the numbers, you will understand that if you're like able to have a very properly planned plant-based diet, the deficiency of omega-3 or the calcium, iron can be minimized. But B12 and D, definitely there needs to be supplementation. I do take supplementation. My daughter, somewhere here she is actually. She's 14 and a half. She's also taking supplementation. She's the first one who turned vegan in my family. So we both take supplementations. And frankly speaking, again, science we cannot hide. So when she was growing up, like five years back, she was not growing tall. So her calcium level was very low. And, she was not ready to take up any animal products. I had to put her on calcium and vitamin D supplementation for a short period. Now she's grown tall, and now she also knows that what are the calcium-rich plant-based food, like the chia seed, flax seed, and leafy greens and stuff. And likewise, iron, we need to get some more into the details, but iron, do you know that our 1 cup cooked legumes, dal has 1/3 recommended daily allowance of iron. But the problem is iron has anti-nutrients like phytates and other stuff. It will interfere with that absorption. So some of the scientific strategies they say is soak it overnight and stuff. And vitamin C rich food adding to your dal with a squeeze of lemon, tenfold the absorption goes high. So some of these strategies you can use it. But it is not like practically applicable to a common man at the beginning. We need to create a food system to provide that actually. Same with calcium, 1/3 of the recommended daily allowance is coming from your dairy product, 1 cup. You cannot replace the same thing with a plant product. It's not possible because that much, 300 and something milligram from a cup of milk, you cannot get it from plant-based one. So you need to have an array of products which will give, and also in adding products or food groups which will enhance the absorption of calcium. Okay, and avoiding products which will interfere with the absorption, like coffee, tea. Along with coffee, tea, if you take, and calcium absorption goes down. Omega-3, I did a lot of research. I think I put one of the things in Mumbai group. I'll put the same here. So omega-3, we have like plant-based omega-3, we have animal-based omega-3. Animal-based, that's seafood, which has DHA and EPA, which is predominantly the most absorbable and most potent and active one, which is required around 800 to 1000 milligrams per day, right? So, and fish is a major source. The American Heart Association itself recommends like 3 times a week is sufficient to get your omega-3. But look at the plant-based ones. Do you get omega-3 from plant-based sources also? Walnut, chia seed, flax seed, all has plant-based omega-3 called ALA. But one of the major problems we face there is these ALA it has to be converted to DPH and EHA, right? And to get absorbed and have the active benefit of heart disease and stuff. The absorption rate is very less. It is only like 10 to 20%. So to get that much, you need to have at least 2 tablespoons of chia seeds a day, or flaxseed a day. Because flaxseed has around 2,514 milligram per tablespoon. So that and all some of the numbers which actually makes us like, really, is it possible to do it? But we also need to understand that when you're eating flaxseed 2 tablespoons or chia seed 2 tablespoons, you're not only adding those omega-3, you're also adding some proteins, you're also adding soluble fiber, you're adding a lot of phytonutrients. So it's not like something all or none. You can always like say that, I can't go off fish and all, but have a little bit, but don't eat like the way we are eating right now. That's what we want to make you all understand.
So vitamin B12, when I last checked, there was not much of a difference between both the groups actually, the omnivores and the vegetarians. And people after 50 also need to take vitamin, anybody, whether they are omnivores or plant-based, they need to take vitamin B12 supplement because there's lots of intrinsic factor and absorption is not so good. So it's for everybody, the B12 supplementation.
Priya.
So the discussion has been incredible. I'm a gastroenterologist from Amrita Hospital, Dr. Priya. I know that we are moving into an era of personalized medicine, precision medicine, but day-to-day practicing the OPD, one thing that everybody asks is, can I have a diet chart? It's the most common thing. Most of the diet charts that we see are created by Abbott and Zydus, and you have these pre-printed diet charts that very clearly mention that plant-based diet will not provide you with half the nutrients we want. But myself, for example, I've been a vegetarian since I can remember, and regional plant-based diets, there are very little available kind of baseline charts that we can give to patients. Any kind of diet chart, like I'm starting a study where we're trying to give a high protein diet to inflammatory bowel disease patients to help with sarcopenia or muscle wasting, because all our array of 4.5 lakh rupee biological agents, they don't do a thing for half of the symptoms for patients with inflammatory bowel disease. But all the diet charts available for high protein diets, they talk about giving salmon 5 times a week. The diet charts, unfortunately, in India that we get, they still don't include regional foods that a normal layman, a lower middle class person actually could have access to. So this association, organization that has such an incredible array of experts, is that something that maybe we could do to start off with? Create very region-specific, plant-based, non-veg, whatever the type of person may be, that could help them. For example, you have Chorechia or you have Varadalemia, these kind of gourds that are so common in Kerala. We don't really know what's the nutritional benefit of that. We know a lot about chia seeds and flax seeds, and which are not necessarily available to a rickshaw driver. How do we create something for them also, so that the benefit of plant-based diet, which we all know is there, can be reached to the common man? So that's my question.
Yeah, definitely, Doctor. That's a great suggestion. I think the suggestion has already come from Dr. Ravi Sankaran and a few others in our physicians group. We have a book here called Beginner's Guide to Plant-Based Nutrition. So actually the first thing is we just put together some data and some recipes for December because we wanted to release that. So we are reworking on it, or we are improvising on to come up with regional specific, what is alternative for flaxseed in the Kerala context. We are coming up with that actually, but it'll take few months. Yes,
First of all, I think you brought out a very important thing. I'm truly grateful you brought on this question, especially with IBD. See, let us not forget, we should all put our hands and say, we'll live in a capitalistic healthcare society. Just compare healthcare in Britain, United States and India. I think the worst is India. We are driven by money. Every touch point in healthcare is money. Biologics. It's a big can of worms. The complications with biologics is phenomenal. It drains the patient's pocket. It also drains the patient's immune system. But have we actually rectified the ground level pathology which can be easily rectified? Hygiene theory, so important. We don't attend to the hygiene theory. Autoimmune theory, we don't attend to it. The Mediterranean diet, we don't attend to it. So I think prevention is the key thing. And the type of IBD we see in India is much softer compared to the ones we see in the West. And we know from studies, people who migrate from India to the West, they actually have a much worse IBD, so to say. St. Mark's Hospital, where a lot of IBD work is done, you actually see more of Indian Gujaratis going through this problem rather than the locals. So I think we need to attend to the factors which are the cause. And when you talked about diet, I cannot agree with you more that we need to strategize based on the diets. Let me give you an example of murunga. Murunga is your drumstick. You go to Africa, they actually make it as a powder and give it to pregnant women. The benefits with folic acid, the benefits with iron. I mean, is murunga expensive? No. But do we use it? Not much. What about your jackfruit? Dried. So I think you're absolutely right. I think we need to work around, strategizing, figuring out what is the locally available product and how we can utilize it. I mean, every system has got its weaknesses, and we just need to strengthen and use it for better, I think. But thank you for bringing that up. And so much so to say fecal transplants. We do fecal transplants for IBD now. St. Mark's has been doing it to a great extent. And here, how many gastroenterologists see non-specific colitis? A lot of them. A lot of them. And what do? The first thing we do is start on azocol, start on steroids. But you know what? A lot of the non-specific colitis we see, or the non-specific ileitis we see, is probably related to chemical colitis from stercoral. Lack of toilet, lack of good toileting, lack of enough fiber, more, abnormal fatty acids you're using, and you rectify that. And that is where your Ayurveda comes, the colonic washes, the good diet, the fiber-rich food, more consumption of water. I think these are the things we need to work on, not just jump into medications. Patients have a thought process. If the doctor doesn't give medication, he's not a good doctor. I think that's one of the problems too. Thank you.
So regarding calcium, one thing, like the black sesame seed is actually very, very rich. It's about 1,600 milligrams of calcium. And the palm jaggery is also 100 grams is 1,006. So if you make a small laddu of 50 grams and eat per day, so around 600 milligrams of calcium you can get just from that. And the normal local chira that we get, the red ones or the green ones, it's about 400 milligrams of calcium per 100 gram. So like you can just very easily meet your 1,000 milligrams of calcium in a day. So I would just like Dr. Bindu, I request Dr. Bindu to tell her some personal experiences into this.
I have joined the Dr. Rajeena, that is Invest on Health company is there. 2 years back I have joined there. At that time I have a weight of 81 kg. Now I am only 69. That is, first 6 months itself, I lost my 6 kg. Then gradually reducing the weight. Not to the plant-based diet. I just arrange my food. As shown before that, half of the plate is made by vegetables and fruits. 1/4 is only carbohydrate, and other 1/4 is protein. And that to maintain in the morning, lunch and in the evening. And mid-morning and mid-evening snacks is either a fruit or nuts and chia seeds, etc. like this. And then maintain the weight for the last 6 months are 69 kg. And regularly I am taking the photo of this food plate and send to this IOH. And by seeing this, and they give the Dr. Rajeena and her team give the useful feedback to me, and me and my husband is also following the same thing, and he's also lose the weight around 10 kg.
Thank you, Dr. Bindu. Well, actually, it's not about IOH or Dr. Rajeena. It's about all of us have the potential to change our eating pattern actually. It's just that we need to start somewhere actually. So I wanted to bring her because there is a doctor who already changed. I myself have experience, my family has experience. And I think it's already time. Rest of the questions. Yeah.
How many men in this audience actually cook? Well, I'm surprised because the doctor was mentioning that he has no access to food when you go to the airport and stuff. So I was just wondering, why don't you carry a fruit?
No, that's what I'm doing.
Ah.
No, I have remote from the stage. No, like you go off and sometimes you need to go just like that without preparation. And whatever you carry may not be sufficient. I carry fruit. Wherever I go, I don't take dinner there. I eat fruits only. The question is, why can't we change that in our own setting, in our hospitals, in our conference? That is the question I was trying to ask.
The society will learn from you if you practice what you preach. You talk about all these and then you follow exactly the opposite. You are not going to make any impact. You are not going to make any.
No, that's
I
good for
totally
you,
agree.
doctors. But I've seen many doctor couples.
yes. Sure.
Okay, so they are both husband and wife are doctors. The husband has his breakfast, lunch, and dinner in the canteen. Why? He can't cook. He expects his wife to cook, who also is a doctor.
That is something
But
a
she
major
cooks
conversation we
and
need
takes,
to have.
and takes up, no, because I think we need to be self-sufficient.
Exactly.
That's all it is. It's nothing big.
Yeah.
We're just blowing it out of proportions.
I think I got a little bit, have an unpleasant talk with a patient of mine from Kerala, from Kollam, referred by a friend of mine. So he's saying that, why your plates doesn't have enough fruits and vegetables and all these things. So he's saying, he is working, he's in a bank, this thing, and wife is a teacher, head teacher somewhere. So he's saying that my wife is very weak and a sickly person. I lost my cool actually. So I told them, both of you guys are working and you're earning. Keep somebody who can support you. Health is very important. Then I told 2 weeks, we are not going to support 2 or 3 weeks. You bring a person who can support you with your meal pattern, because that is going to take you way long. So that is something which is always there. So we'll take only 2 more questions. So just listen one second. So the reason is, actually we have the WhatsApp group. We will have interactions about, we will have actually discussions about all these points. You can just start discussing, because every city we do that actually, because we have researchers, experts in the field. They can give you a complete perspective about the stuff. As I said, all or none is not there. So we need to have proper perspective. So we will have 2 more questions.
I am the odd one out here, not only because I'm a pharmacologist and I advocate and I teach pharmaceuticals to our students and the growing doctors, but I'm here also, as you can see, my weight also says that I shouldn't be in this community, but I am here because I believe, as Hippocrates said, and I am of the belief that food is thy medicine is food. And another aspect is, you see the number of pharmaceutical agents that are there. Look at the classification and array of drugs that you get for hypertension. Just take hypertension. So many drugs. How much is the control? Just 27% is controlled by drugs. So I believe, and I definitely know, that it is, we have to think otherwise. And the other nearest thing is food. And that too from terra firma, the ground. And that too, what is close to us, next to us, trees, plenty of trees, plants. And that is why I agree, and I had got many papers where we have seen not only curcumin, I'm one for ginger. We have done a lot of work on ginger and Garcinia indica, so many other papers I have, and I know, and I believe wholly for this, and that is why I am with this group. So the problem here is to follow this plant-based and a healthy diet. We are going into a culture where there is, every TV ad, every ad that comes, or as you pass, you see a flex or a billboard that shows a beautiful pizza coming through, just enticing you to make you, to tempt you out of what you want to. So in this kind of a culture, how do we survive? And that too with motivation and the right way. So I keep telling my students and people whom I meet and others that we live the way our forefathers have lived through, and our present activity is less sedentary. We are most of the time. I am definitely sitting on my chair writing, reading, preparing papers, or a lecture. Lectures is something that we stand and do. But other than that, my very limited wish to do, but I will be doing definitely more on my personal aspect. But yes, it is a challenge that is there. And of course, this is the one way we can have a holistic approach to treating diseases. And then we will come up with the ultimate solution for the patients with all diseases.
One last question,
Thank
and
you.
then we are ready for lunch.
Thank you very much. My name is Purnima Vishwanathan. Ma'am, sorry to correct you, you're not the odd one out. I am the odd one out. I am a fitness coach, nowhere closer to any physician here. So I have been in this industry for 10 years. My question is to Dr. Narasimha. My father underwent a colorectal cancer surgery since a year now. And since then, he's actually, for the past 2 years, when he's detected with the cancer, he had lost a lot of kilos, lost about 25 to 30 kilos, and now he's slowly getting it back, but he is not actually convincingly getting it back. We are Tamil Brahmins by birth, and we always look forward to a vegetarian kind of food. I'm someone who eats egg regularly because I'm in the fitness field and I believe that lean protein comes from egg. I tried a lot of meat, which I didn't like it much and it didn't gel well with my body. So my father loves food, homemade food, and he's unable to better his health or put on a bit of healthy weight with the kind of food that we are having at home. So doctor said, have eggs. You need protein in your diet. So right after his surgery, something that I couldn't accept, being a fitness coach, and I did understand a lot of nutrition there, he told us not to eat wheat, not to eat fiber, not to eat, all of these are good things that any individual needs in their food. But what is this sham of not eating fiber, not eating wheat kind of food? So it was very difficult for my father. Father underwent a major anxiety in terms of food because he loves homemade food, and coconut was something which is not supposed to be eaten. So a lot of things we had to change from our foundation, that not to eat these kind of food, not to eat leafy foods. So all of these are good for our health. All of these are plant-based food that we all need on a daily basis. But my father has completely lost my father's supposedly one of the most healthiest person in our family. Right from, I have seen, if I have imbibed something from him, it is his healthy way of living. His 7 to 8 hours of sleep, his yoga, his walking, all of that. But now he's actually lost all kind of, beliefs in terms of healthy living and healthy food. He's just eating what is being given to him. He's not happy about it. The reason why I feel he's not putting on healthy weight. So I mean, somebody who actually promotes plant-based, I'm sure you would have given it.
Madam, I think an excellent thought process. See, let me put it this way. It is not about living, it's about living well. How do we define living well? Some of us enjoy the little food we have. Some of us enjoy a walk. Some of us enjoy a dessert. Some of us enjoy a little bit of a drink. And that is quality of life for them. When you actually stop somebody to be happy, you're actually not helping them. So I think whatever advice he has got, I would say, you should tell people do things in moderation. People say red meat causes cancer. Come on, a lot of cancers we see now are in the vegetarians. The reason is they have lived longer, we have seen. As I said, it's a stage of evolution we see. So I say, when you do not use the system goes through a degenerative process. Why dementia kicked in just after somebody's retirement? Because they stop using their brain. Why somebody just becomes weak after a fracture? Because they don't use it. Similarly, the gut is an organ, not just serving one function, it is serving a lot of functions. The gut has to be kept active. How do we keep it active? Use the gut as much as possible. But there are other things which are damaging the gut. The antibiotics we use. Antibiotics, everybody uses left and right. But you know the amount of damage it has caused to the flora and the fauna of the gut? A lot. So what I would say is, I think it's about doing things in moderation. I do not know who said don't eat fiber, don't eat this, don't eat gluten. See, when you do not eat enough, things go through a change. The villi go through a change, the endothelium, the epithelium go through a change, the absorption gets into tricky state. So it's about stimulating the whole system put together. So I'm somebody who would say, enjoy your life, but do it in moderation. I think what he needs is happiness, because that happiness will drive weight gain. Not necessarily he needs to go to eggs or meat or whatever. Don't get me wrong, I'm not somebody who would say don't eat, things that you like, but it has to be done in moderation. That's what Rajeena is trying to say. I think it's about creating a healthy way of living, and if you're enjoying something, do it. So truly, I think he needs some advice about, diet, so to say, and let him stay happy. What is his age? He must be in his 70s.
72.
And what I've said is, on a sigmoid curve, he's already past the average lifespan, and we should let him live happily. I think that's what is my thought.
He believes the doctor more than me. I mean, I was telling him that, that, nutrition is this, that. And he's like, no, doctors told me this. So,
I mean, it's about trust and faith as well.
Absolutely.
But I think sometimes we just have to challenge the doctors too.
Yeah, we asked him, I even asked him, how about probiotics? Why don't we give him something of that sort? Not required. So, why is it that from the medical field, there's a lot of saying no to nutrition?
Get me a dad on the phone and I'll speak to him and we'll sort it out.
Great.
Not
Thank you so much. Thank you very much,
Doctor.
Doctor.
Lovely.
We'll end the session and move for the lunch. And to remind that how to assemble your lunch, we saw the plate, what Dr. Rajeena showed us. Half of your plate should be filled with vegetables and fruits, all colorful vegetables, capsicum, tomato, cucumber, greens, all those things, cooked, uncooked. 1/4 of your plate with some whole cereals like barley, millets, whatever is there, brown rice. And 1/4 with pulses, maybe chickpeas and other kind of beans and stuff. Thank you so much.
Hope it is already set like that. Hope it is already set like that.
I've been told. Thank you so much.